Sports is reporting that Bucs owner Jimmy Haslam pushed the team to make the Miami deal over concerns that Brown might want out after one season with his new team. Haslam apparently wanted certainty with his new deal. The first round of the NBA draft will take place tonight. Celtics still have the 27th overall selection. The Dallas Mavericks have hired Dusty May as their new head coach. He just won a national championship at Michigan a couple of months ago. Former Bruins captain Patrice Bergeron was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in his very first year of eligibility yesterday. He joins goaltenders Carey Price and Pekka Rinne along with Keith Tkachuk and others. At the World Cup, Argentina got 2 more goals from Lionel Messi. They beat Austria 2-0. France got 2 more goals from Kylian Mbappe to beat Iraq 3-0. And Norway got 2 more goals from Erling Haaland to beat Senegal 3-2. The late game had Algeria beating Jordan 2-1. England plays Ghana in Foxborough at 4 p.m. this afternoon. And Aroldis Chapman allowed 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. Colorado beat the Red Sox 3-2 in Denver. That's 45 losses before the end of June for the Sox for only the 3rd time since 1969. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Jeep. You can't spell American without it. During the Jeep Make the Summer event, celebrate 250 years of the country that can with a great deal on the vehicles that always can. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Deep 3, violent 2-hand slam. Wow.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
Yes, I finally shaved my nuts.
and Hardy
Who, me?
Just hanging around.
on 98.5
Anchorman, heard about you.
Yeah.
We're Costco guys. Of course we go shopping while eating a chicken bake.
That's gross.
Not a great cook, but I do cook.
When I asked him about the sides,
Kick them in the balls.
I don't care about it, but it's not good behavior.
Blaze Bailey is omitted.
Toucher and Hardy
We're the best friends that can be, my buddy and me.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
well, I'm using Great Stories clubs today. Oh.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, Town Fair Tire Studios, 617-779-0985. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. As you heard John say, Giannis has been traded, but not to the Celtics.
Oh.
That's right. He was traded to Milwaukee, or I'm sorry, he's traded to Miami, along with Bobby Portis for Tyler Hero, 3 other guys, and 3 first-round picks, in a pick swap and a second-rounder. The Celtics, John, is rumored, not rumored, but stated to be offering what?
According to reports overnight, the Celtics' final offer was Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round draft picks.
Okay. And so
Jimmy Haslam, the owner, didn't like that.
Right, because he didn't want Brown. He didn't think he was a young enough superstar to justify the trade. Apparently, they were looking at. I've heard Evan Mobley, or the kid from Orlando, Paolo Banchero.
Yeah.
Right, because even if you're not looking to be good right away, if you're offered, one of the quote-unquote guys, then you take them and you figure it out.
Right.
So it was a combination. I don't think they're all that interested in being good right away, which is why they wanted picks and why they wanted stuff to package up going forward. But had there been a player in there, and there was like, oh, wait a second, maybe we can do both. Maybe we can be really good right away, and we can, be building for the future. But I think you're right, Fred. I think they weren't, all that enthused at the idea of having Jaylen Brown here and being that much of a difference maker to where they could do both. So no, they're gonna build.
Well, they're not going to be good for a very long time because these picks won't be good 5-6 years. So it wasn't ideal.
It's all about breaking even. Remember, they gave all those first-round picks away in that dumbass Damian Lillard trade. And now, because they got at least 3 and maybe 4 first-round picks back, it's breaking even. They had to show something for this, and this is a makeup for a horrible trade that killed them.
Yeah, if they keep all those picks, then it's going to be a very long time before they even have a chance to be good. But the fact that they have picks now, they can use those in different ways to maybe accelerate the process.
And the other part of it is Tyler Hero is entering the last year of his deal. And the thought is they flip him for at least one more first-round pick or another a really good young player. Well, Hero's a really good young player, but his contract is up. So maybe they can still get some help out of this.
Well, the Celtics thought they could get him because they wouldn't have been this heavy on him, and they thought that they thought Jaylen Brown would. I mean, obviously, they thought Jaylen Brown had more value than Milwaukee thought that he did. They desperately wanted to make the Giannis deal get done, and the Bucks were not interested. And so that is where it stands. A bit of an ego blow if you're Jaylen Brown, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
A, the team that you're on doesn't want you.
He was
And
live
B, the
streaming
team-
again yesterday, man.
And B, the team that that they wanted to trade you to didn't want you. They wanted Tyler Hero and a bunch of picks that are probably not going to be very good for a very long time, if at all. In Milwaukee, I mean, they could expedite the process, I guess, in theory, by trading first-round picks. But, I mean, Milwaukee might not be good again for close to 10 years. Who knows?
Milwaukee does that. They're going to be bad, and they don't have control of their own first-round picks.
And they have Miles Turner.
Yep.
And he's owed a lot of money.
Yep.
They're very bad. So this is not reflecting well on Jaylen Brown. I mean, I understand that he's 29, and I understand that Milwaukee's rebuilding. But Milwaukee, in theory, would have liked the star, and they did not want Jaylen Brown. And obviously the Celtics thought they would, or they wouldn't have made this offer as hardcore as they did. They didn't do it for fun. They didn't do it to drive the price up in Miami. And now Miami's better. Not probably championship better, but better in the East. Like they have two real superstars.
Yep. And
then
they got a bunch of, we can go over it if you want. They got a bunch of nice role players around them, but the really good role players are in their 30s at this point. The window is small.
Well, also they're going to lose that sixth man of the year guy. Apparently, they're going to
Jaquez, who was a runner-up for sixth man of the year last year, went to Milwaukee.
Right, but apparently they also have a free agent to be in the front court that could be leaving. I don't know. All this information came in very late.
Yeah,
last night.
Andrew Wiggins.
Not Wiggins. No,
Norman Powell.
Norman Powell.
Powell is an unrestricted free agent. He was an all-star last year.
Right, Norman Powell. That's who they're thinking that they're going to lose. So, but if you read ESPN and their grading of the draft, they have many, many winners and many, many losers.
The ultimate.
And one of the losers
is
the Boston Celtics. And after the Celtics were heavily linked to Giannis rumors this week, they ultimately watched the Eastern Conference rivals won the bidding war. The rest of the league should be relieved. Giannis and Tatum would have given the Celtics the best 1-2 punch in the NBA. The Celtics could have desperately used Giannis's downhill attacks to balance an offense that became overly three-point dependent during its first-round flameout. And he also would have helped address some of Celtics' interior defense problems. Celtics president of basketball operations, Brad Stevens, must now sort through the options with Jaylen Brown. Does he find another trade or try to mend fences?
I still think there was a point that Brad Stevens was not willing to go to. We were talking about this yesterday morning. The ball was in the Celtics' court. They had the best package in theory before we knew Jimmy Haslam's feelings about Jaylen Brown. I think if Brad Stevens wanted to, he could have pushed this across the finish line.
How if they didn't want Brown?
Well, as I said,
but John, you can't say both. You can't say the Celtics could have gotten him if they wanted Brown.
But
This feels-
you keep saying they didn't want Brown, and that's the reason why.
Yeah, they didn't want Brown.
Well, you don't know that that's the only reason. Maybe they wanted all the other pieces and all the other.
Yeah, the point is, if the player's good enough, they want to do the trade. And the Celtics thought they could do the trade. They don't want Brown. They might have liked the package better for Miami, but they don't want Brown. They didn't want him. It's a fact. They didn't take him. If a big superstar is available, pick player for player, and the player's younger, and then the Celtics thought they could get him.
What this feels like is it got to a certain point, and then it was put in front of the owner and said, okay, these are our two best options. What do you think? And then the owner stepped in at the last minute and said, I don't want this guy.
Okay,
but we went pretty far down the track with Jaylen Brown as an offer, as a guy who was sitting there.
Fine, but if the owner didn't want him, then the team didn't want him.
I think
you're splitting hairs. What's the deal with like them wanting Brown? They didn't want him. There's no debating it. They probably would have taken him for free, but they didn't want to trade Giannis for him. They didn't do it. If they went in front of the owner, I don't care if it went in front of the fans and they voted online. The team didn't take him.
But following that logic, they would rather have Tyler Hero and a bunch of like randos.
Well, yeah, that's what they did. They took Tyler Hero and a bunch of randos.
You can't convince me of that.
Well, that's what the trade they did. I don't understand what the debate is. They didn't take one package and they took the other. They wanted the other package.
Because there was more in the other package.
That's debate. But yes, based on their perception of the value of it. They didn't think Jaylen Brown was as valuable as the pieces that they received in return, which then therefore diminishes the star power of Jaylen Brown. This isn't like an overwhelming package that like is lights out, and there's talk of them wanting a superstar in return, just a younger superstar. So they didn't want Brown. The Celtics thought they would want Brown. The Heat chose not to take Brown. I don't understand the splitting of hairs over this. It's like that's the case. It's not an indictment necessarily of Brown. It's just that the Celtics thought that they would want him. They didn't want him bad enough. The Celtics obviously had an idea of what Miami was offering, and they were very much pushing for this deal, according to everyone around the NBA, and the Heat turned it down. They didn't want Brown. I mean, they would have taken Brown in a vacuum where there was no other offers, maybe, but they didn't. But they took another offer.
What do you think they should have done? Do you think Milwaukee did the right deal?
I mean, I don't think this makes Milwaukee very good, and I don't know if what they would have done with. I think if Brown was a star that could carry a team, then they would have taken Brown and built around Brown. And then, you get a couple first-round picks and you get Brown.
The toughest...
And that expedites the process, much like you talked about flipping these first-round picks for talent. This expedites the process.
I think the tough thing for Milwaukee is to convince yourself and convince your fan base that, okay, you had a guy, obviously, that was there that could carry the team. Brown, debatable. I mean, he did carry the team last year to a huge number of wins without Jason Tatum there
carried the team until late February, early March.
Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So, to say it's not debatable that he's not a guy I think there's a strong argument.
I said it's not debatable that they didn't want him.
Let me finish. Okay?
You're changing the argument.
I'm not changing the argument. I'm talking. We're just having a conversation.
We're filibustering.
Well, I learned it from the best.
Thank you.
How's that?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The argument is tough to make in Milwaukee that you're taking one guy who obviously, without question, can carry a team and can be the guy to a guy that maybe not. That he's not Giannis. We all agree that Jaylen Brown is not Giannis. And what else did you get? A couple of first-round picks to go along with it. All right, what's the other option? We're going to get a bunch of crap in here, and we're going to take some time to build this thing, or maybe we package up some of these picks, and we make a big splash here, maybe still this season, maybe it's next year, maybe not, but we've got all this currency now, as opposed to the other deal where you just swap out a lesser player for the superstar, and a couple of picks to go with it.
Okay, so let's just go through what you just said then. What you said. Okay, so you don't want Brown, but you have a bunch of picks that you can therefore package up quickly and flip for a star. So what you're just saying is that you want to that the other option is to take the picks and get a star. So you'd want a star other than Brown. If they offered Tatum up, would they have done the deal?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Well, there you go.
They would have done the deal. According to our buddy Kevin O'Connor, it wasn't necessarily the talent, or according to O'Connor's report, it wasn't. He didn't mention it. It was more along the lines of Jaylen Brown not wanting to be there, and Haslam didn't want the headache of dealing with another superstar who wanted out. He wanted certainty with his deal, and even though this deal is just a bunch of picks and a bunch of young guys who may or may not be good, he knows what he's getting with this contract, with this trade, as opposed to Jaylen Brown, who is angry a lot of the time, it would seem, and may want out immediately, and that's another headache he didn't want.
Still, he doesn't. He doesn't want Brown.
It
doesn't matter why he didn't want him.
Yeah, and it's, I think, as much the player as I don't think Brown wants to have his own team, and that was one place where he could have it. But maybe there was some indication he didn't necessarily want to play in Milwaukee. So do you want a guy who
that kind of popped up over the last week?
Yeah, you got a guy who is, kind of already has the reputation, or, well-deserved as being less than content to begin with. Now you're going to put him into a town that he doesn't necessarily want to play in, and we're expecting this to go well? Like, this isn't going to be great.
Then he really is a distressed asset, because if you can only move him to whatever whimsy he has,
right,
because he won't stick around, then he's a distressed asset.
Yeah, well, you could say the same for Tyler Hero and all those other guys. Well, who cares? Who cares what Tyler Hero wants?
Right, exactly.
And actually, it's a homecoming for Tyler Hero.
I was just going to
it's
say
a homecoming for Tyler Hero, and he's done after the year. So, who cares?
Yeah.
Look, I understand. Again, I'm not saying that I don't understand why Milwaukee took the Miami offer. I understand that that there are all these future assets and that they had to recoup what they had given up in all these idiotic trades that they had made, and that they don't have any of their first-round picks for years and years. I get all that. I mean, I understand that it was a basketball move. My only point is that it's not even that it was the wrong move to make. I didn't say that. I said the Celtics believed that they had a package, obviously firmly believed that they had a package that Milwaukee would win over anything. And the whole conversation leading into this was and John said it this morning. The Celtics could have done better. The Celtics could have done better. The Celtics had things. Well, that all revolves around Milwaukee wanting Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is the linchpin of that piece. He's the thing that Miami just can't get. Miami can stack up 1 million picks and 1 million young role players, and they can do everything else, but the Celtics, after all, have Jaylen Brown, and they just have to sweeten that deal a little bit. And then it turns out that they didn't want Brown. Now, it could be because Brown didn't want to play there. That's fine. That's completely legitimate. They might think Brown's the greatest player of all time, but he didn't want to play there. That's fine. But it all adds up to that's a distressed asset then. Because now if the Celtics go to pivot to move Brown somewhere else, and every other owner around the league's going, he's not going to want to play here unless we're L.A., or wherever the hell else he wants to play, or Memphis. I don't know where the hell he wants to play.
The Clippers were the team that were rumored.
It's got to be, for Brown to be happy, it's got to be a team where it's his team.
And I guess not a Midwestern market. Milwaukee would have been his team, so I don't really know.
Not only would it have been his team, it would have been his team for as long as he wanted.
But Milwaukee must have been at least, somewhat interested in the idea of Brown, or they wouldn't have had the conversations.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also,
what else you got?
And also playing two teams against each other is helpful in a negotiation. Look, again, it just is all, any way you slice it, it was believed by a lot of people around the league that we've read and we've talked to that the Celtics, by nature of having Brown in the deal, had a superior offer. Just because he's the linchpin. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out they didn't do that. So the Celtics wanted him to do that, and they didn't do it. It's not like Miami had this insane. No one's going, oh my God, the Bucks. This is the most incredible deal ever. Good for the Bucks. 1 million points. A plus. It's like a solid deal. It's
Yeah.
a solid deal for
I've
the
seen
Bucks.
grades across anywhere B, B plus, but
Yeah.
nothing higher than that.
Right. So,
Yeah.
if they were to trade for Brown, maybe a B minus. I don't know. Maybe a B. Maybe some people's. I don't know. Anyway, it's pretty much. I can't imagine there would have been a vast difference, or even if the Bucks in some way thought they could flip Brown for more, like you make one move and then flip for more, and then just keep kind of like the hero thing,
Kicking the can.
yeah, just keep kicking the can and getting more, I guess, picks that you could use sooner.
Yeah.
And whatever, man. It's all really linguistics, and maybe I misrepresented what I was trying to say.
What you were saying smacked of Brown bashing. And Fred,
Which is racist.
I'm not here for
it. Like all sarcasm aside, I'm really not here for it. Number one,
I'm not here for it.
There's a good chance.
Not on my watch.
There's a chance. I don't know if it's a good chance. There's a chance he's on this team again next year.
I know that's really
you
a
bet-
fascinating thing.
You better
He was live streaming during the day yesterday.
That's great.
So I mean, this is really
Yeah, I know.
something.
It's really
This is a
smart.
story to watch, because if they are going to deal him, and Brad Stevens, part of that deal was Brad Stevens saying, "Okay, he doesn't want to be here."
How do you deal him now?
Well,
if you don't get Giannis back,
I don't know.
Like, how do you sell that to the
There's
fan base?
no better deal you can possibly make than trading him for Giannis.
Right.
So
there's
I don't know.
There's no other player out there that is remotely
right.
available that you can trade for.
There's
That is
no
going to
top 10 player available that you
satisfy
can go
Celtics
get
fans
other than Giannis.
and say like, okay, we didn't get Giannis, but we got this guy instead.
Short of dealing him for a pick in the top 3 tonight, which is not going to happen, there's no way you can get better value than you would have gotten from making a trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Which is why, this is why they were so open to doing it.
Yeah.
Because it goes to that theory that they were thinking that you need to, well, I mean, you've read this since the trade, that the Celtics thought they needed to decidedly top 10 players if they were going to carry 2 max deals.
Yep.
And that Brown isn't one of those. So the Celtics.
So go find another one.
Right, exactly, right.
Yeah.
So the Celtics
Whoa,
think they
okay.
can't really win with Brown as much as they could. It's not the right recipe for the greatest chance of winning. And they saw this golden opportunity to, God shot one of these players that only 8 exist, and you have one of them. So 7 exist, and you had a chance to do it, and you did. You have to think at this point, I don't know if there wasn't a point they wouldn't have gone over. I think at a certain point, you go, this is the deal. Like, come on, we believe that this is enough. And I bet you at whatever the hell this deal went down, I didn't hear about it till this morning, but whenever this deal went down late last night,
Yeah.
that the Celtics weren't overjoyed.
No.
I mean, I think they were probably surprised, and at least surprised from what their feelings were yesterday morning when you heard everyone around the league talking about how it was going to be the Celtics probably.
And now Brown is here. After live streaming his face-off yesterday, Brown is here. He's not happy. Clearly, I don't know how you smooth this over. This is really going to be something.
Which makes me think even more that the Celtics thought that the Bucks would take Brown.
Yeah.
Because they probably thought Brown's value is never going to be this high again. Giannis's value is never going to be this high again.
It seems, looking at it, Brad Stevens thought he probably had a deal because he had Brown, but didn't count on Jimmy Haslam stepping in and saying no. That's what it looks like.
Fine,
at least right now.
That's very valid. But Jimmy Haslam didn't want Brown.
No, he didn't. I'm just trying to look at it from the Celtics' point of view. The Celtics thought they had a deal. They because they had Brown, they had the better package on the table, and then the owner at the last minute stepped in and said, "I don't want this guy."
Well, that would be unfortunate if that's the way it went down.
Well, I mean, Brown was tied to this for how long, and then all of a sudden they go to Miami at the last minute?
Well, Miami was tied to him since February.
No, but it was between those two teams, and because the Celtics had Brown, they were perceived to have the much better package.
Perceived, yes.
Yeah, and then at the last moment, at least that's the way it reads here this morning, Jimmy Haslam said, "Nope, we want Miami."
Yeah, so interesting. Not great for the Celtics. A lot of phone calls very early. We can get to the phone calls. We will do so in just a moment.
Did you catch the game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Hardy, we will take some calls, but Hardy, there was a big trade in the NBA last night that did not go the Celtics' way.
No, and this is where we begin. We've been already talking about it this morning. The Milwaukee Bucks are trading Giannis Antetokounmpo, not bad, huh? To the Heat for again. Here is everything that the Heat are sending back. First of all, it's Giannis and Bobby Portis.
Mm-hmm.
They're both going to Miami for Tyler Hero, Kalel Ware,
Yep.
Jamie Jaquez Jr.
Jaime Jaquez.
Thank you.
Of course.
Kasparis Jakukunanas.
Yakuchonis.
3 first-rounders, which includes the one coming up tonight.
Number 13 overall.
A pick swap and a second-round pick. Now, the Heat are sending those unprotected first-rounders. Those aren't until 2031 and 2033. But as I said, the 13th overall pick is tonight.
Yes.
So, and the pick swap is in 2030, and the second rounder is in 2033. So no other teams involved right now. One only has to believe that Milwaukee is building something here, and they're probably not done because, getting Tyler Hero back along with Ware and Jaime and Jacqueline Nunes. That ain't doing anything for you.
Ware's pretty good. Ware is pretty good. He averaged a double-double. He's like 23 years old. He shoots 40% from 3. He was a late lottery pick a couple of years ago. He was considered a young, upcoming player.
Yes. And, Tyler Hero is, nice enough player at times, but it's not going to do much for you. So let's see what Shams has on this.
This was a 13-month trade saga for Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. Just to put it plainly, Giannis felt like his time was up with the Bucks a calendar year ago. The Bucks at every turn did everything they could to try to keep him. They fought this right until the end with Giannis to try to win around him. They depleted their assets, their salary books as well. But Giannis informed the team numerous times that it was time for both sides to move on, that he would not sign a long-term contract extension. So now for the Bucks, several weeks ago, they opened up for business. They started negotiating.
They filibuster because they really only have the specifics of the trade, so they have to fill time.
Right. That's called Scheftering.
Yeah, it's just this litany of past background that everyone already knows.
Right. Yes. Okay, yes. So what's the other piece of this? What did they turn down from the Celtics?
My understanding is the Celtics aggressively pursued Giannis this draft period cycle. They went after him at the deadline as well, but clearly nothing came to fruition. But at this cycle here with the draft, the Celtics offered Jaylen Brown, the 2024 Finals MVP, and I'm told 2 unprotected first-round draft picks. And so the holdup in those conversations ultimately became the Bucks wanted more assets. They wanted a couple young players, Ugo Gonzalez, Baylor Shireman, potentially others. They wanted more first-round picks, more swaps. But was there a middle ground to be had? But at the end of the day, my understanding is the Celtics were not willing to part with enough young players and assets to get a deal done. The offer stood as Jaylen Brown and a couple first-round picks.
Yeah, they wanted what Miami gave them from the Celtics because they didn't think that Brown was that big a piece.
But now it was back to what I was saying.
Like Baylor Shireman is the difference.
I don't believe Baylor Shireman.
Who was the other player?
Ugo Gonzalez,
now,
who Cedric loves.
He was their first-round draft pick last year. Gonzalez, apparently, from what I've read over the last 24 hours, is highly thought of.
Right.
He was a very good defensive player this year, but a lot of people think there's more to his game.
I understand, and I understand that the Celtics might have been reticent to part with younger players in addition, but it sounds like the Heat just weren't overly interested.
Yeah,
that would have been a much better package if they had included Shireman and Gonzalez. That would have been
Shireman is whatever,
and it would have been worth alienating Brown to keep Shireman and Gonzalez.
So that's what I was talking about earlier. If Brad Stevens wanted to try and force the issue, he would have said, okay, if you don't like Brown, here's a bunch of picks and a bunch of players. But he didn't. He stopped.
Yeah, because he thought ultimately Brown should be worth more than Tyler Hero. So if Miami said we want the Miami trade, or if Milwaukee said we want the Miami trade, but instead of Hero, it's Brown. So you give us Brown, 3 first-round picks, Gonzalez, Shireman, and a pick swap and this and that.
3 first round.
And then they go, well, no, Brown's better than Hero, and they go, I mean, the Celtics probably win. Are you out of your mind? We're offering you a guy that was
Finals MVP.
He
was top 15 player in the league.
He was once the highest paid player in the NBA.
He took a bunch of guys we didn't know if they could play up until last season, and he made them all better all last season, right up until the point where Tatum came back.
Right, and they probably went, huh? And then they went, they're never going to.
Well, we didn't see any of that.
Yeah, and I could imagine that they're like, wait a second. You want us to match Miami's deal, but instead of Hero, it's Brown. And they're like, well, it's the same to us.
To me, this is the more interesting aspect of this, Fred, as opposed to your Milwaukee-based Brown bashing, which is how you really led the program this morning.
With a fury, I might add.
I would say that. Why is it that Boston is so eager to get rid of Jaylen Brown? And what happens now?
Well, that's
the Boston.
Oh, sorry.
There is going to be fallout from this, some hard conversations, because for the second time in 4 years, the Celtics have offered Jaylen Brown, their co-star with Jason Tatum, in a trade. Back in 2022, the Celtics offered Jaylen Brown in a package for Kevin Durant, now for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And so the tables are a little different now because Jaylen Brown is a Finals MVP. He just came off a year where he was a MVP finalist as well. And so there are going to be some conversations now moving forward. Jaylen Brown is extension eligible in July. We'll see where things go from here.
Bunch of nothing. By the way, I heard Felger Maz talking about this yesterday, and I was nodding in agreement when they were talking about the proposed trade for Kevin Durant in 2022 that would send Jaylen Brown. And Felger, Maz, Jay Stu all said, I don't remember that. And I'm like, me neither.
I don't remember that either. You know what? I follow the NBA pretty closely. I don't remember that either.
They offered up Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant 4 years ago?
And that was like widely reported and like a fact that it wasn't just preliminary conversation, that they went, oh, like this is like they have a package on the table involving Brown. I think that would have been bigger news.
Big Jim was the only one that remembered it. And I'm like, I don't remember that.
I don't remember it either.
It seems like it would have been very big news. So,
but yeah, all right. Let's take a couple phone calls. Stanley, go ahead, Stanley.
Gentlemen, good morning.
Hello.
So I told Felger last night, or before the show went out for the day, I said the Celtics were playing chicken with the Bucks, and you have to see it in this point of view. Pat Riley has been pump faking with the whole Kevin Durant situation. He thought he could mafia his way to have Portland trade Dame, even though Dame wanted to come to Miami. That fell through. And you also got to look at it like this, sir. The Bucks needed to recoup from that terrible Damian Lillard trade, and the Celtics offer was not something they wanted, period. Because when you look at it, they need all these assets to rebuild. They didn't want to do this.
Right. That's obviously what the case is, but the Celtics believed that Brown would sweeten the deal to the point where they'd want the deal.
But my thing is, too, and this is the conversation you, Felger, and what's his name? The guy that loves food just like I do, Murray. We all come to the conclusion that it's either they were trying to ante up, make Miami spend more money, or
so they wanted to. They won
chess.
They've alienated one of their superstars to get Miami to give up another first-round pick.
We made Miami overpay. Well done, everyone.
Yeah. Congratulations.
And all they got in return was Giannis.
The Miami aspect of
the
this.
The team that we're going to face again in the conference finals.
The Miami aspect of this is great. Pat Riley's in his 80s now. He doesn't care. He's right. Lillard wanted to go to Miami. Miami didn't have enough to get him, so he went to Milwaukee instead. And now Pat Riley, who he doesn't have many years left running this team, has decided, I'm going all in. I don't care. And he's assembled a team that's better, but not championship
I
caliber.
just think it's odd that you would be putting Riley and Spoelstra as like idiots that are just like foolish and foolhardy. Like they're this like Dallas 2 years ago, or with the trade of Doncic. Like it's just this incompetent GM. I mean, Riley's had a lot of success. I don't doubt that he's old and he wanted a superstar very badly, but
over the years, he's gotten some pretty good players.
Right. He's had a little success.
He's well, part of the problem is it's been 7 years since LeBron left, and he's been hunting for someone since then.
Well, we'll see where the Celtics.
Yeah.
How long has it been since they won a title? We'll see where they are in 5 years.
Yeah, but
then we can talk about 7 years.
This isn't the NFL. This isn't the Major League Baseball where you spend $500 million to get one bat. This is the NBA. Did you get the player? Yes. Then you did a good job. You got him. You got Giannis. I mean, there's conversations to be had about the amount that you had to give up, but you got him there.
You want to talk about pushing your chips to the center of the table? That's what Miami did. They traded all their young talent, almost all of it, to Milwaukee in this deal, and you have Giannis and Bam was crowding 30, and a couple other guys in their early 30s. This is it. You have maybe a 2-year window to get it done, and they're not good enough.
Well, the thing is that they felt that once we get Giannis, we can figure it out.
Sure.
I'd rather figure it out from there.
Sure.
Because if they don't make this move, then fine. Where are they at if they don't make this move? They have a bunch of picks 5 years from now. They felt the biggest return they could get for those assets.
They've been mediocre for a long time
Right.
now. I understand the reason for it. What I'm telling you is, it's really fun to look at because this is it. This is I have 12. The dealer is showing a face card, and I'm putting all my chips in the center of the table anyway.
Okay,
That's
but
all.
you're positioning this as if like the Celtics didn't want the same player.
No,
the Celtics wanted the same player. I don't think it's fair to say like Riley's being irresponsible and this is such a weird move when A, his track record, and B, the Celtics wanted the same player.
I'm not positioning it that way. All I'm saying is it's fun to look at from the distance.
Sure.
That's all. That's all.
The weird thing is for the Celtics, while you would have been improving, you don't need the player. You still have two top players. So that's why I'm still struggling with what is it with Boston wanting Jaylen Brown out so badly.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's listen.
That's the real story of the morning.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know
really
why they
something.
want him so much either, but they want him out. They certainly do, and I gotta believe that they thought that they were going to get him out. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't buy any of this stuff Shams is saying. Yesterday at 9 a.m., he had a dead certainty Celtics were making the trade. Then all of a sudden at midnight, it's Miami, and Miami's emptied the cupboard. I think Milwaukee's going to be better than Miami at the end of the year.
No, that's not true. That's definitely not true.
What are you doing on buy? But what don't
Miami
you
got
buy?
for shooting now?
Huh?
But Giannis doesn't have a mid-range game.
Yeah, but
He
I don't
goes
know what
one-
Shams. What that the Celtics weren't really offering Jaylen Brown, that was all misreported. I don't understand what he's talking about.
don't either.
What does he not buy? The
See,
trade happened.
Fred's not going to stand for any sham bashing. He's a huge Sham Charania guy.
Just the hair and the leather jacket that he's always got on. I mean, if you're going to filibuster, not you, him, if you're going to filibuster, I don't want to use the term twice, but he filibusters. I was sarcastic with you. But Shams gets on like Schefter, and they got one piece of news that takes 10 seconds to read,
But
and they got to fill a minute.
Yeah, they tell him, you got to fill a minute, go.
Yeah, and so you give like a background, and basketball was invented.
Here's the deal. Giannis, Greek. Greece, the country, not the movie. He didn't step out of the court at Rydell High as much as he stepped out of the streets of Athens. See, that's 12 seconds right there.
And they get a 13th pick in this year's draft, and if you'll recall, Giannis as a skinny kid out of Greece was taken with the 18th pick or whatever.
15, I think, yeah.
There you go, 15th pick in the draft, and Remember that?
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. So
He
it's
talks-
really recouping. They've improved their draft position.
He talks funny and he costs money, and you're going to have to pay him wherever he goes.
And that ain't
where
funny.
And where he's going is Miami, Florida.
Well, you guys are good at this.
Yeah.
Someone get a camera.
I rhymed funny with funny, so I don't.
That's all right. I didn't. No one noticed.
All right. So there's a lot of people lined up on the phones, which is exciting because it's June 23rd, and who would have known? But there's a big story brewing. Giannis has been traded to Miami, and the Celtics are left on the sidelines wondering what they're going to do now, which Brown has already been on, which we'll get into. He's already been on live streaming. Everyone's a lunatic. Brown's a lunatic with this live streaming. It's not smart. And by the way, if they didn't want Brown, again, just to reiterate, if it's true they didn't want Brown because they didn't think Brown wanted to play there, that's a problem too.
Yeah.
Because you want to move him, and now teams like, well, he's a head case. He's not going to want to be here.
And are the Celtics lunatics for presumably siding with, this is one theory out there, siding with the Mazzulla-Tatum tandem because they want to play a certain way, and Brown maybe wants to play the game a little bit differently. And they're like, no, we're all in on Crazy Joe and Jason, and if Tatum's not on board, we got to get him out of here.
But Giannis would have changed the way Mazzulla plays in theory because they wouldn't have been as 3-point heavy. So, I mean, they're banking on Tatum. They certainly value Tatum more than Brown.
Yes.
I don't know the Mazzulla piece of that because Giannis, fundamentally, one of the improvements that he would have made is they wouldn't have been as reliant on 3-point shooting because that's not his game. So that's probably why they wanted him, right?
I would imagine that's part of it, sure.
So you pivot. Look, someone's going somewhere. Mazzulla, Brown, Tatum, someone's going somewhere. So we'll see what happens. So we'll be right back. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Milwaukee traded Giannis Antetokounmpo overnight, not to the Celtics, but to Miami for 4 players, including Tyler Hero, 3 first-round draft picks, a pick swap, and a second-round selection. Jaylen Brown's still in Boston, and the Celtics hold the 27th overall selection in the first round of the NBA draft tonight. As expected, the Bruins' Patrice Bergeron was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday. He will join goaltenders Carey Price and Pekka Rinne, along with Keith Tkachuk. In soccer news, former
Archer and Hardy. We had news break overnight. And from a personal standpoint, just in my personal proclivities, I was very disappointed when I got up this morning and I heard a tease that Giannis had been traded. And then it came down that he had been traded to the Miami Heat for a package of Tyler Hero, some pretty good young players, and a bunch of three distant first-round picks. Well, one tonight, but it's 13. And then, in the 2030s. So the thing about it is that the Celtics, they had offered Jaylen Brown and a couple first-rounders. And the Bucks, any way that it's being reported, either Jimmy Haslam, the new owner of the Bucks, who owns the Flying J franchise, that's how he made his money. He's a wonderful Knoxville resident who also owns the Browns and is a terrible owner there. He nixed the deal, which it still doesn't matter who nixed it. Someone nixed it, and it doesn't matter if it's Haslam, if it's the GM, or if it was a public vote. I think we all agree on this. It's not good for Brown's ego.
No, I agree with that.
Because even if he didn't want to play there, if he didn't want to play there, it's almost as bad as anything else, because it's like, well, now he's causing all this fuss here, and then you don't want to go there. So what the hell are you going to do with him? You obviously wanted to get rid of him, at least for Giannis, right? Like, I don't know if they just blanket want to get rid of him, but that's because I don't know that. You could argue that, but no one knows but them, and I don't know anyone who knows. We can ask B-Rob when he comes on, but they tried to move him, and the Bucks said no, we don't. And it sounds like the Bucks, according to Shams, who is the authority on all these things, wanted the deal sweetened with young players. And at a certain point, if the Celtics were offering up 2 first-round picks in Brown, and the Heat were offering up 3 first-round picks, Hero, and 3 young players, the Celtics at one point said, well, you keep wanting to sweeten this deal, as if Brown wasn't involved in it. Like Brown is worth, these 3 players.
3 Tyler Heroes.
Brown is a top 15 player in this league. He should be worth just as much as what you're getting.
According to, us in the press, but maybe not according to front offices in the NBA, because the Celtics, wanted to move him for another player, and the Bucks didn't want him. And look, would the Bucks take Brown in a vacuum? Don't get tripped up on my language, of course. If he was just offered, like if you could just take him, but they didn't want to. They wanted picks in 2030 and 2031, whatever they intend to do with those. Keep them, trade them, whatever. They wanted those more than they wanted Brown. That's just by nature of turning down the deal. And that, while it doesn't sound good, is just the reality of it. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, Brown is not a top 15 player in the NBA.
Absolutely, he is. Absolutely, he is.
Top 5.
You're totally wrong on that. Here's a guy who was in the MVP chase this year. Here's a guy who won a championship for us. Yes, I'm saying it. He won it for us a couple of years ago because Jason Tatum, again, didn't show up in the playoffs. The man with the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The man was a championship MVP. The guy led our team, which going into the beginning of last year, everybody had us already written off the map. He carried this team. The problem with Jaylen Brown, me being a big supporter of Jaylen Brown, his mouth, he needs to know that outside of basketball, there's certain things you say and certain things you don't say. And unfortunately, there's nobody in this corner is going to tell Jaylen Brown what to say. That's just the man that he is. Okay? No, I already knew that this was going to be I already knew that this was going to happen. And now we've got the worst case scenario. Now he's still on this team. I don't know what he went on live stream and say, but I'm telling you right now, this is reminding me now Jaylen Brown's going to be the Terrell Owens of basketball. He's going to be so disgruntled.
Doing sit-ups in the driveway.
Exactly. Or headstairs on top of a building. I mean, I am telling you right now, Jaylen Brown right now, and rightfully so, is pissed off.
Oh,
and I
sure.
would be pissed off.
I would be pissed off too, and I would be,
right now.
but I can't show it because it would show that they hurt they hurt me. Like I think if you go as an individual, if you go too all in on spiraling right now, it shows almost too much vulnerability. It's like after a breakup, you got to keep it cool. You can't be like burning their stuff in effigy online.
Yeah.
You got to keep it cool a little bit, or it sounds like they got into your emotions.
Why burn it in effigy? Burn it right here in Boston.
That's why we hired the kid.
Boom.
Go to break. Go to break. Go to break.
Don't cut that part out.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Yeah.
In the end, the Celtics reportedly offered Milwaukee Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round draft picks for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it turned out that wasn't enough. Instead, the Bucks sent him to Miami very early this morning, along with Bobby Portis, for 4 players: Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez, and Kasparis Yakuchonis. Also included 3 first-round draft picks, a pick swap, and a second-rounder. Jaylen Brown, for the moment, remains a Celtic. The Celtics also hold the 27th overall pick in the NBA draft, which begins tonight. The Washington Wizards had the first overall pick and will reportedly not trade it. The Dallas Mavericks yesterday hired Dusty May as their new head coach. He just took Michigan to a national championship. As expected, the Bruins' Patrice Bergeron was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday. In soccer news, there were 4 more World Cup games, and all of the stars stepped up. Lionel Messi became the World Cup's all-time leading goal scorer. He scored twice in a 2-0 Argentina win over Austria. Kylian Mbappe scored twice to help France beat Iraq 3-0. And Norway got 2 more goals from Erling Haaland to beat Senegal 3-2. Algeria beat Jordan 2-1. England plays Ghana in Foxborough at 4 p.m. this afternoon. And Aroldis Chapman allowed 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. Colorado beat the Red Sox 3-2 in Denver. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the 99 Restaurants. Kids eat free the day after the Red Sox win. Get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. You gotta love the nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Boston Talk Sports.
Trade Drake May.
We all know what, but we won't say what. Yeah, worst take on these airwaves in the last 24 hours.
We may not take a call today.
The Sports Hub.
IYKYK, which obviously YD. Okay?
Dodger and Hardy, mornings of the Sports Hub.
One of the true villains on planet Earth, Will Smith. Which makes you kind of like do a memento thing with his whole career.
I'd never forget.
I mean, the cuckolding slap of Chris Rock, which I might have watched 200 times. We are Toucher and Hardy. Big news. You can watch this on YouTube, by the way. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. This should be a big streaming show on the account of the big news that happened overnight.
Yeah.
And you can see how media outlets work. Not a lot of people working after midnight because it's taking a while for a concise encapsulation of this trade to come through instead of just filibustering from Shams. Giannis and Bobby Portis are sent to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez.
Jaime Escalante.
They're both
a
sons.
hell of a math teacher and a good basketball player.
The finger man is what he called the one guy. Kasparis Yakuchonis. That's right.
Yes.
The 13th pick in this year's draft, which is interesting because Milwaukee holds on to the 10th pick in this year's draft. Did you know that, John? You did not. Milwaukee had the 10th and 13th picks in this year's draft, and they gave up the 13th pick in this year's draft. They hold the higher pick still, which is interesting to me, certainly, that that makes the trade even look like they
really didn't want Jaylen Brown.
It's just everything. And then you go, oh, well, they got the 13th pick in this year's draft, and then they received future picks as well. And then you go, oh, yes, but they're in 31 and 33. That's in the year 2031 and the year 2033. So, that's that. And then they have a pick swap in 2030 if you're looking for immediate action.
The 2033 draft pick doesn't even sound like a real year.
Well, they get the second round pick, too, so they'll control the 2033 year draft.
Some guy in 5th grade's going to Milwaukee.
I will be...
6th grade, whatever it is.
It's 7 years. I mean, both my kids will... My daughter will be a senior in college. I mean, this is exciting news that Milwaukee will be picking the summer that my daughter either is graduating or is about to graduate. Hopefully, we'll see how long it takes her, or if she even goes. It's up to her. All right, so people are very excited. We have full phone lines because who knew news would break overnight, making us the first live show local to be on the air, which we are taking advantage of in wall to wall, as long as you call in. Matt, go ahead.
Jaylen Brown is a self-absorbed, pseudo-intellectual pissant who has a pouty little face, and everyone in Boston is sick of him, and we need to stop pretending like he's a fully formed human whose opinion matters. Thank you.
Right, but he does play basketball for the team, regardless of your opinion of his intellect, and they tried to get rid of him, and they couldn't.
And that is look, you can feel whatever you want about Jaylen Brown personally, obviously, but to say that everyone in Boston is sick of him, no. There are plenty of people who look at the championship that Brown and Tatum won 2 years ago, where Brown was the finals MVP, and say, why are you so eager to be rid of this guy? What is it?
Right.
And if you're offended by his his intellect or his sensibilities or his politics, whatever, between him and Tatum, Brown is the grown-up. He's the adult in the room, and I don't know if that jives with what Tatum is all about or what Tatum and Missoula are doing, but there's obviously some conflict there between the three of them.
The question is, would Brad Stevens have traded Jaylen Brown if the Giannis deal was not available this summer?
And that's interesting.
That's the question.
And so that's even more interesting. So say they don't devalue Jaylen Brown. Say they think Jaylen Brown is what he is. They think he's very, very good, but not Giannis. And they go, this is an opportunity, the only opportunity we'll get to get a player of this caliber. What's interesting about that is they obviously, and I just told you the Miami trade, this is not a sensational return that's like otherworldly. I mean, the Celtics were willing to give up Brown and 2 first-round picks. Brown, in their estimation, I assume was equal to the value, essentially, of the players that Miami shipped off to Milwaukee. That's not a ridiculous statement. I mean, Brown's got bona fides. He was an MVP candidate. Tyler Hero's contract's expiring. They probably went. Obviously, the Celtics felt he was more valuable than Milwaukee did. So, if they do like Brown, and this was a once in a lifetime shot, and they didn't get it, now I don't know how you pivot from here.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it seems like all of these rumors around Jaylen Brown being traded were because he's pissed off that the Celtics tried to trade him. And it's clear Brad Stevens, we had Danny Ainge on for how many years?
Wait. Say that again?
It's clear that now the theory is the Celtics want to trade Jaylen Brown because he's angry that they tried to deal him, in theory, to Milwaukee.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, they can't keep him.
They can't keep him, but it's clear that Brad Stevens subscribes to Danny Ainge's theory. He said a lot of memorable things when he was on with us, but the most memorable was, he said, I go up to players and they ask me how I'm doing, and I tell them I'm looking for players better than you. He would tell his players this during the season. That's what Brad Stevens was doing. Brad Stevens was looking for a player better than Jaylen Brown, which, if healthy, Giannis is. I don't think that's debatable at all. So now that deal is off the table, I don't know if you can trade Jaylen Brown and get an adequate return for him.
No, not.
We said it in the first segment. Top 10 players aren't available other than this guy.
Right.
And Jaylen Brown is a top 10 player, top 15 player in this league.
The only way you could pivot is if we're going to go the Knicks route, and we're going to go, we can't do it with 2 max contracts or, to get it under these aprons. So we would trade Brown for NBA assets, but we would have Tatum as a 10 post and then, deep talent around him.
Yeah.
So they could pivot to that theory, which we've had some people, what was it, O'Connor, I think, it was like, that's the other option. Because in the current NBA, the Celtics believe that if you're going to have 2 max players, they got to be like top 10 guys, or you're going to have a superstar surrounded by a great deal of depth, which is impossible with Brown and Tatum.
Say Brad Stevens calls his buddy Danny Ainge, who has the 2nd overall pick in tonight's draft. And Ainge has been accumulating a lot of assets for Utah. Maybe Ainge thinks now's the time. He knows Jaylen Brown better than anybody.
He ain't giving up the second pick for him, though. They could give up, I don't know what their other, I know they have a lot of young talent, and I also know that they have like a lot of picks, but I don't know. I don't think he's giving up the number 2 pick in the draft for a 29-year-old guy. I think that he thinks DeBonsa or Peterson could be at least close to Brown for way less money. So I don't think there's any way that in this draft you give up the number 2 pick because there's 2 kids that could be home runs at the top. 2, maybe 3.
It depends on how you look at Boozer. You and I think, are of the same mind that will be good but not great.
I think that he'll be like a borderline all-star, according to what I hear about him, just his size, but it's more like his acumen. He's been compared to Kevin Love, who would be a consistent all-star.
True.
By the way, Peterson, no one cares, but it's sounding like Peterson's going to go number 1 from a lot of people. That
Wizards, according to ESPN, the Wizards are not trading the number 1 overall pick, so that means they've clearly settled on a guy they can't afford to miss on.
Okay, we can continue to take phone calls. Dave, go ahead, Dave.
Hey, yes. So Jaylen Brown is obviously the crown jewel of would have been that trade, right?
Yes.
Going to Milwaukee. Way better than anything Miami would have offered. But look at the reason why Milwaukee's trying to trade Giannis, or they have to trade him. The dude's a head case, doesn't want to play there, so they got to trade him out. Why in the world would they swap him for Jaylen Brown and find themselves in the exact same position? And think about it, right? The basketball minds in Milwaukee probably wanted Jaylen Brown, but it was Haslam reportedly who nixed the deal. So Haslam was like, no, I'm not. This guy's not staying around for a long time. I'm not giving up a valuable asset for someone who's going to be out the door in 2 years. Kind of pretty simple, but from a basketball standpoint, Brown's the crown jewel, right?
Right, and it's obvious that the Celtics. But the thing is that the Celtics thought they could do this trade. And if you're asking me, who I would value their opinion more, in a room full of Brad Stevens, Pat Riley, and Jimmy Haslam, I'm siding with Stevens and Riley, and they both wanted Giannis. And Haslam, and Stevens thought that they had a deal. And if Haslam nixed it, I think Stevens thought you're out of your mind, and I think Riley thought I just pulled one over on Haslam. So Haslam's the idiot in the room. So Stevens and Riley both have great success. Haslam's a moron. So, I mean, he does a hell of a truck stop. But as an owner, he's not very good. You can ask Cleveland about that. And so none of this it's very disappointing. I think if you're a Celtics fan, you have to be disappointed in the sense that now what? Maybe you didn't want Brown to go, but maybe this shouldn't have happened at all then. Like now in retrospect, if you weren't going to get him, obviously, this puts you in a very difficult position. Personally, I was very excited, but
it would have been exciting to talk about and of course to watch. But I guess this was too big to keep quiet. The Celtics have been pretty good about keeping these moves quiet.
The leak wouldn't have been on the Celtics.
But back to what 2 callers ago, the guy was talking about how people are sick of Jaylen Brown and his act around here, and. Look, him streaming and going on podcasts and doing stuff that can only get you in trouble when you take 10 seconds of it. Yeah, that's dumb. Are you really that offended by the other stuff that he does off the court? Is he really that much of a nuisance when it comes to the other stuff?
No.
To me, it's all pretty mild.
No, and that's what's interesting.
Pedestrian.
No, there's no way it's anything he's done publicly that's pissing them off.
Right.
If there's anything that's pissing them off, it's internal, which is, if anything at all is pissing them off, it's got to be something that I don't know about, which is fascinating to me. No, I don't believe anything he's live streamed or anything. That's like a tipping point where we can't have him on the team anymore.
So the team feels that way, and as a fan too. Like if you're a fan of the Celtics and you love all these guys, is anything Jaylen Brown doing really, really bugging you?
Not enough to want him off the team.
Right.
No, the only reason I wanted him to deal with Giannis was what you said. It would be fun to watch, which now at my advanced age, I'm more apt to want.
How much fun do you have left?
Exactly. Well, seriously.
6, 7 years?
It's all the Jets.
Played it probably Freddy's dead.
The Jets They control the draft. They control the draft, and then they control the draft, and then they end up hitting on the draft and then trading everyone for picks in another draft they'll control. There's a point where it's nice to have hear Felger say this. I used to always kind of push back. Now I don't. Like, there's a point where let's watch games. Let's enjoy watching games. And I know you want to win a title and everything, but it's not like trading for Giannis. It made it more likely you'd win a title in the short term. All the problems were if, buts, and whens for down the road. Like, this would have been extremely exciting, and if healthy and all these things, made them a better team.
And that's the greatest irony. If they have pushed themselves and painted themselves into a corner where now they have to trade Brown because it's so untenable, the situation here, you're going to get back a Milwaukee-like return. You're going to get a bunch of guys and a bunch of picks in return for Jaylen Brown if you're forced to trade him. And there's no way in hell you're winning next year or probably the year after. Like, you've really undid yourself by trying to maximize Tatum's window by trading Brown for Giannis. You didn't pull it off, and if now you still have to trade Brown, you're screwed. Well,
especially the morning of the draft, because if the Heat would have pulled the trigger on, or Milwaukee would have pulled the trigger on this like a week, 2 weeks ago, maybe there would have been a little runway to maneuver around and make a couple moves to build depth this season. And, have Tatum again as the guy who's the max player, and then fill the roster out with good young talent or even good prime talent, and go from a depth perspective. Because, again, the two schools of thought are you need 2 top 10 guys if you have 2 max guys and then other players around them, or you need 1 max guy and then a sea of quality depth behind them. But really, now the morning of the draft, I don't know what the hell you're going to do, because anything that you're not going to trade 2033 picks, over and over again. Like, I don't think you can make 6 moves. Like, if you had time before this draft, you get a pick for this draft, you swap it, da-da-da-da-da. Like, it seems like a lot to do in 12 hours to pop off, so you're acquiring 4 depth pieces, 4 starter type guys in a day, less than a day. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to move Jaylen Brown and make yourself better next season, even in theory. Even if your theory is that you want to have more depth and you need to be bigger and you got to get away from all this 3-point, anything you want. It's too much. It's too much in 12 hours. That much is true. It's very interesting where they go from here.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think Brown goes anywhere, and it's back to option B. If you weren't last week, if you didn't get Giannis, you keep the 2 guys and you pick around at the edges and hopefully get a better center than the one you had ended the season with.
But Stevens doesn't think they're going to win if they do that. And by the way, Miami's better now too in the front court. So you're bopping threes all over. Say you play Miami in the first round. Say you have another great regular season, and everyone's like, told you, like they did last year. Told you. And then you play Miami, and you're bopping around threes, and you start shooting 15, 20% from 3, and they're dominating you inside, and now you lose that series. So now there's another team that can beat you in the playoffs.
No, I won't say that, because if they do make it that far, I'll say they're playing with house money. And it's
the minute it ends, the second the game ends, the whole narrative shifts.
I'm on record now.
That's really good.
By the way, if the GM of the and I've been thinking about this, if the GM of the team comes out after the season and is way more critical of the team than the broadcaster of the team, there's an issue. Like Stevens went up and said, he did. I knew all along that we weren't that good. We didn't play well against good teams. This isn't overly surprising. We need to get better. And we need to get better now. And it didn't sound like we're going to, trade the 2033 first round pick for Vucevic or some guy like that. It sounded like we wanted to make a massive move to change how this team operates.
The trade on the table. I don't know if that happens tonight or over the summer. It was rumored that you would send Derek White to Minnesota for a guy like Rudy Gobert, who is a very good interior player, much older, but a very good interior player, shot blocker, enforcer type guy.
Right.
Now, if the Celtics did that, that would be a very good move for them.
Right. But you're getting an older.
No,
soft guy.
You're kind of painting yourself
who's
into a
not
corner.
a very good offensive player.
No, he's not. But at the same time, you were stuck with a guy like that isn't as good as Rudy Gobert.
No, you're better with Rudy Gobert than you are without Rudy Gobert, depending on what you have to give up.
Yeah, but you're swapping out one kind of defense for another if you're sending Derek White there.
Yeah, but your problem is interior, not perimeter.
Right, but you are kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul because you're getting rid of an all-star caliber player.
But you are where you are, and that kind of move would improve your team to the point where you wouldn't get dominated inside.
I agree, but it certainly doesn't. I don't think change the calculus on their finals chances. No. At least if I'm Stevens, I mean, you got to do something to get bigger. But Gobert can't shoot threes.
No, he is the antithesis of Missoula ball, but at the same time, he gives you that interior presence you were sorely missing. He's a guy who could guard Joel Embiid for 7 games.
Right, but they can't spread the floor with them. I don't know if they're going to want to do that because that's not the way that they play.
Of course, but again, you had a guy like that. Do you finish the season with?
Right.
Gobert's about 5 times better than him.
Right.
It'd be the same thing.
Right.
Do you think they've called Jalen? Is it too early just to see how he's feeling? Take his temperature?
No, Beaton can do that.
No. I mean, like, that's Brad.
Oh.
Joe called Jalen this morning. It's like, are you okay?
I don't know how that operates. I don't know how you work that.
I think if you called Brad Stevens, he would tell you he's been in contact with Jalen the whole time. That would be his answer.
I don't know what you really say. He's been in China too. Like I don't know how much they've been talking. All right, we'll be back. Brian Robb will be joining us in just a moment. Brian Robb, the Celtics beat reporter for MassLive.com, and a contributor here at 98.5 The Sports Hub, is joining us. Brian, hello. First of all, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
I saw you on Felger and Maz. I thought you did a great job, but wanted to have you on this morning. Okay, how serious was the Brown for Durant trade offer back a few years ago?
That nobody remembers.
Yeah, like it's hard for the layman to remember. How serious an offer was that?
That was serious. That was the thing, and it wasn't as front and center as this was for the last few weeks, but those offers came out, and there was certainly some damage control that had to be done after the fact with that.
Okay,
with Jalen.
So the Celtics had to believe that this deal was going to get done. I'm leading you, but did the Celtics believe they had this deal done?
I think they knew that they had a very good chance. I think they believed with what Jalen's offer was. He was by far the best player that the Bucks could get in this deal. So when you offer him up and some sweetener and first-round picks, you'd think, hey, this is something that they should jump back compared to the poo-poo platter that the Heat offered up. But that's not how NBA deals go sometimes, as we've seen for years and years across the league, whether it's guys the Celtics have gone past, not recently, but like, the Paul George of the world, like a decade ago. Like sometimes teams take offers you don't expect them to. So it's something where when the Celtics got into this and we know that Jalen was going to get on the table, I think the Celtics knew ultimately they had enough to top the Heat's offer, but were they going to be willing to put all that on the table to get Giannis in this situation? That's what we weren't sure of. And it's clear the Celtics drew a line in the sand here. They didn't want to include some young guys like Hugo Gonzalez or Baylor Shireman or all their future draft capital and pick swaps like the Heat were. So the Bucks clearly used them well for leverage here, if nothing else, to make sure they squeezed everything out of the Heat. And now the Celtics, how they come back to this will be fascinating.
And this was the one thing that I was worried about, like giving up too much in terms of your secondary guys, which is, an issue to begin with. But the way Shireman kind of elevated and Gonzalez elevated this past season, I can see them not wanting to part with them. However, should it have been a deal breaker? Now that the Celtics have themselves in this position where they've floated Brown out there again, they're willing to give up a couple of first rounders. Should they have included that, in your opinion, in order to get this deal done?
I think I get them not wanting to go that far, but it almost makes you wonder, Hardy, like, if you're not willing to go that far, should you go down this road this much in the first place?
Right.
If that makes sense. But maybe listen, we're going to hear from Brad Stevens tonight. Jaylen Brown, I'm sure we're going to hear from sometime in this. They must think they're in a okay spot to a degree here with Jaylen Brown in these talks. Obviously, they came back from it before. And so whether those lines of communication were open the whole time or being like, listen, we're going to go down this road to a degree, but we're not desperate enough to give everything up for Giannis like the Heat are. And so they must feel at least some confidence that they can come back from that. Because I agree, like if Hugo Gonzalez or Baylor Shireman was the line in the sand, then it's no surprise in my mind that the Bucks were like, we want that too, because ultimately Jaylen Brown, for as good as he is, he's making a lot of money. He's 29, 30 years, going to be 30 soon here, and the Bucks are nowhere near a championship. And he's the guy who could have gotten disgruntled and have to be traded off again in a year or two. So the Bucks were probably like, we need stuff to hedge against that, and we need young talent on cheap contracts. We need draft picks. We don't think your draft picks are going to be very good Celtics online because you're going to have Tatum and Giannis forever here. So we want more. And the Celtics were like, listen, we think we're giving up a lot already. We feel okay moving forward with Jalen here or whatever we can get for Jalen in a plan B type deal. And so that obviously they made their line in the sand and the Bucks walked away from it.
Well, if you're the Celtics, you got to be like, what the hell are you like? Okay, so you want me to match the Miami deal, but with Brown. right? So, like, you're saying that, like, you want young players, multiple draft picks, and Brown, and I'm looking at what Miami's offering you, and it's Tyler Hero young players and multiple way distant first-round picks, not even your first-round pick this year.
Right.
I'm giving you they're giving you the 13th pick. I don't know if they know what Miami's offering necessarily, but they have to know what's available. So if Milwaukee's going, yeah, we want Ugo Gonzalez, we want Baylor Scheinman, we want Jaylen Brown, and we want 3 first-round picks, the Celtics have to go, what the hell is Miami offering you? What could they possibly be offering you? What is Jaylen Brown is of no consequence in this deal then. So why are we giving up Jaylen Brown except to match contracts? So, I'm talking myself into something. So in Milwaukee's mind, was Jaylen Brown just a matching contract to get these other assets? Did they even factor Jaylen Brown in at all as like a positive in the deal? I guess you could make that debate.
Yeah, they certainly did, but certainly not to the level. They didn't value him like the Celtics value him in terms of what his trade value is. It's like, if you look at the Heat trade package, Fred, like, would you trade, if you're the Celtics, would you trade Jaylen Brown for the players that the Heat gave up in this deal?
No,
exactly. So that's where you never know what's going to happen in the NBA with these blockbuster deals. There's different priorities out there.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it. Like right now in the aftermath, say this trade didn't happen and you were trying to trade for Giannis and he went somewhere else. It's like, now we got to get rid of Jaylen Brown. Well, here's this offer from Miami with Tyler Hero, a bunch of other dudes and some picks. Would you do it? No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
So that's interesting.
So, B-Rob, now that we're at this place, do the Celtics still try and trade Jaylen Brown? And if they don't, what do they do from here moving forward?
I think I'd expect all options to be on the table, Walk. And so they've been down this road before with Jaylen with trade talks. And so it's not his first rodeo, but we're not going to know how much communication there's been, how Jaylen's feeling about this. We'll obviously hear from Brad Stevens tonight about it. But it's going to be a very interesting 24 hours here, because if something is going to happen with Jaylen Brown, a lot of times if you look at past off seasons, this is when big deals go down on draft night. And so if there is a subsequent deal, like a couple years ago, we saw the Celtics tried to trade Malcolm Brogdon as part of a Porzingis trade. That fell apart, and then they quickly pivoted to moving Marcus Smart and replacing that deal in 6-8 hours later. So whether there's something lined up like that, I'm not sure. That may have made it easier for Brad Stevens to know, like, okay, we're going to make this offer to the Bucks for Giannis, and then but we're not going to overpay because we have other alternatives in place, or we just know, listen, this was our chance to upgrade with like Jaylen Brown with a top 5, top 10 perennial MVP guy. They didn't take what we thought was a fair offer, and we have other alternatives to adjust the roster around Jaylen and Jason moving forward. I'm sure they have to hope that's how Jalen's doing about it, because that's certainly going to help their leverage for whatever else they're going to do this offseason. But there's certainly other teams out there that are interested in Jaylen Brown, and how that relationship is going to have a big factor whether or not, how often those teams are calling in the next week or so.
Yeah, and B-Rob, I kind of reject that notion that they've been down this road before. Yeah, they tried to trade him once. When you tried to trade him a second time, after he's won a championship and after he's been the finals MVP and after he led this team to a great regular season, they haven't been down this road before. Just because you tried to trade him once, 4 years ago, and then all this other stuff has happened in the aftermath. If his feelings were somewhat hurt before, I wouldn't blame Jaylen Brown for being absolutely enraged at this point. So I don't know how they move forward if they don't get a deal done. I honestly don't know how you fix this with the player.
Agree. This is a far different scenario. Like, this is from what it was 4 years ago.
Thank you. It's
yes. Front and center. No, it's like the whole road. It's been out there for weeks now. I talked about it, with Felger and Maz last week. Like, even though the Celtics didn't offer Jaylen Brown to yesterday, like, everyone knew this was going to come down to this if the Celtics were seriously in on this, and they were. And they got there, and they drew their line in the sand. And now Jaylen Brown has to swallow hard and say, and look at the situation, like, all right, this is twice in 4 years. I did all this for you guys for last year. I'm also up for an extension that you can give me in late July. And so if the Celtics also say like, we're kind of good on that extension, but we want you to come back, that's just another layer to this right now. But would giving him that extension kind of smooth things out? Potentially. But is that the best way the Celtics want to build moving forward? Like, those are fascinating questions we don't know the answer to right now. But it's the trade talk with Jaylen Brown. I would be stunned if that goes away. Like, they've been exploring all sorts of stuff this offseason. This was obviously the biggest domino to fall with Giannis. And now we look at, all right, this is Brad Stevens, maybe one of his toughest moments as president of this team, of being like, all right, how do you handle this situation? He cares a lot about these relationships. He's had a very long relationship with Jaylen as both a coach and a player. And so and executive, obviously. So it's how he manages this, like, all eyes are going to be watching.
All right. Brian Robb, the real benefit was to all of us because it happened overnight.
You're right.
Yes.
And so we are the kings of this story, Brian Robb. So that's
doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often. All right, Brian.
You guys deserve that win.
Thank you so much for that. Brian, Mass Live and 98.5 The Sports Up. Thanks, Brian.
All right, thanks, everybody, guys.
Appreciate it. There you go, Brian Robb. We can take your phone call, 617-779-0985. Jaylen Brown, as for right now, is still a Boston Celtic. And Giannis is in Miami for a bunch of stuff. Some young players that they believe could be part of a core when these picks are scheduled to happen in 5-7 years. Literally 5 or 7 years. And the Celtics were willing to give up 2 first-round picks and Brown, and Milwaukee said no.
And good for Giannis, because, in the end, this is what all these players want. They all want to play in Miami. Go down there and play with Bam Adebayo and just enjoy the nightlife, enjoy the club scene. Enjoy South Beach.
Which is what it was 20 years ago.
Yes, all of it. Go to the birdcage.
Yeah, just go to South Beach now. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's
so posh.
Really, and it's models everywhere. It's just like it was 20 years ago.
High class.
Yeah, when it's not flooded and filled with homeless, it's just fantastic. And that it's not the Versace mansion anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I'm fascinated with this desire to play in Miami. I understood it back in the day. I do not get it now. I encourage everyone to go to Miami Beach and take it in and go, I want to live here. No, I'd rather live in Orlando. But then again, I'm lame. I'd rather live in Orlando. If you said you have to live in Florida, I'd rather live in Orlando. Shaq liked it.
That'd be Rochi's call, too.
Well, Shaq didn't want to leave.
And you love Universal as much as you love Disney.
I was just going to say.
I went there that one time when I was there for 4 years. I went to Paradise Island one time. Girls took us. One of the few times a girl's ever taken me somewhere. They said, I'm going to take you to Paradise Island. I don't remember what happened.
Then you took her to Paradise City.
Where the girls were pretty, so she didn't belong. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Sports.
We are Toucher and Hardy, and if you're just getting up, the Milwaukee Bucks have accepted a trade offer for Giannis, and it is Giannis and Bobby Portis to Miami for Tyler Hero, 3 young players, the second of their 2 first-round picks this year, which I think is important to state. Now, there's not a huge gap between them. It's 10 or 13, but they got the 13th. And they get first-round picks in 31 and 33. That's of the years 2000. A pick swap in 2030. And a second-round pick in 2033. The reason I read this to you is it's not like this overwhelming deal. The Celtics had offered up Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round picks. And there's reporting that they were stuck on Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez, and I don't know the validity of that.
That had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
That had nothing. I mean, they would have liked Gonzalez in a perfect world, but that wasn't the sticking point.
I mean, at some point, I have to imagine Miami that Milwaukee's just asking for stuff, and you're going, you don't want Brown, like you are asking. Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you.
I did snuff. Like a middle-aged king. So Middle Ages. So you have to imagine that the Celtics at a certain point were like, well, you just don't want Brown. You want us to match the deal that you're getting. Almost like it almost seems like if they were asking for that, Brown is an albatross in the deal. Like they didn't want his money. So they're saying, we want Hero. He makes less and he has an expiring deal. Like almost like we want a Hero as much as Brown. Brown's just conversation in this. We're just looking to recoup picks, and sure, that's nice, and we can probably get more picks for him. But you're asking us to do more work. Again, none of this seems like they wanted Brown at all, which the Celtics had to think they did, or they wouldn't have been this aggressive. So it's quite interesting. So if I'm Brown, you got to put yourself in his shoes. You just had the best year of your career. The team did very well in the regular season. They get the player they feel is the best back. And then when he's back, you lose in the playoffs. And then they go, we're going to trade you. And you go, okay, fine. Giannis is really good. Whatever. And then you find out, oh, well, they don't want me either. That's not good for the ego. At least that's how I would look at it. But then again, I'm so modest.
The way
you can't put your ego up against anyone else's. You're operating on a different level.
Yeah. No,
that's what I was.
Yeah, Hardy has a point.
Yeah. More.
If I'm Brad Stevens, I'm upset this morning because the way it reads to me is, regardless of why they didn't want him, I think that Brad Stevens thought that he had not a deal, but he was close to it. It sounds like Milwaukee said, make your best offer. Okay, we like that. And then they put it in front of the owner, and the owner said, no. That's what it sounds like, because they were obviously, the two sides were far down the tracks. They had talked for a while, and the Celtics, it seems like, because the reporting is Haslam stepped in and said, no, we don't want this player because he might be a problem a year from now. So I think Stevens thought he was close to the finish line with this, and then the owner stepped in and said, no, we don't want to do this. We're going with Miami.
Right. And Jimmy Haslam is the owner of Milwaukee, so if he didn't want Brown, they're not going to get Brown. But again, for everyone poo-pooing it from a Miami perspective, if I give you Brad Stevens and Pat Riley and I say compare their basketball brain to Jimmy Haslam, I'm taking the two of them.
Yeah.
They both wanted Giannis for what the packages that they offered.
Mm-hmm.
And Haslam chose Miami.
When you're Milwaukee and you're looking at the first rounders that the Celtics were going to send along with Jaylen Brown, I don't know when they were, we don't know what years they were, but let's say, just for the sake of argument, they were next year and the year after. How valuable are those first round picks?
Not very.
No,
not very at all. Which is probably, if I'm, and again, we're kind of way out here, but if I'm Milwaukee, I said, I don't want them next year or the year after. I want it when Giannis is 34, 35.
I get why they wanted this package. I also understand why it befuddles Brown and the Celtics that they didn't. Because Brown, again, has no perceived value in this. You would think that we're offering you a guy that was an MVP candidate.
You're getting a player. You're getting assets, not as good as the first rounders you're getting from Miami, but especially the 13th that you're getting tonight. But you're getting stuff.
Well, if you got Brown and you wanted to pick in tonight's draft, I mean, I can go through the draft positioning of teams. I'm sure there's a team in the top 15 that would have wanted him. Do you think Atlanta would have traded the 8th pick for Brown? I mean, I'm just throw it out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, would Golden State be able to move the 11th for Brown? I mean, Oklahoma City's has got the 12th pick. I don't know their salary. It's just not ludicrous that they could get a top 15 pick. Brown's value is something. Even if you didn't want Brown,
the rumor was
you could
the
flip
Clippers.
him.
Yeah, the Clippers. I think the Clippers have the 5th pick. So I mean, there's rumor the Clippers were interested. I don't know if that was legit or not. As a third team involved here.
Well, the 5th pick, you get the best guard in the draft. You get the best guard that's not Peterson in the draft. And there's 3 to choose from. So that's a pretty good place to be.
Mm-hmm.
You get the kid from Illinois. You get Acuff, that was the SEC player of the year.
Yep.
He was like at a historical season.
Yep.
I mean, you get a good player at 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very... It would just is a big ego bruise. I mean, they can't. And if it's like, well, Brown wouldn't want to be here. Well, if I'm the Celtics, that's a problem. Because now if I can only trade him to a handful of teams because everyone else is like, this guy doesn't want to be here as a head case. Well, that's not good. He wants to be, if he does want to be the guy for my team or on a team, yet he wants to dictate where he goes based on some factors other than if he's the guy, that concerns me if I'm the Celtics. It could be just as simple as that Milwaukee didn't want him.
I have a question that doesn't matter now, but we can talk about it a little bit on the other side if you want to. Had Giannis come here, would it have been his team?
No.
Does Tatum need it to be his team, or would it have been? And they were talking about this yesterday, and I thought I envisioned it as kind of like a Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett scenario, where okay, it's Paul Pierce's team. That's what Kevin Garnett said. Who's the best player out there?
It was Garnett.
It's Garnett, but he always said it was
different kind of
Pierce's
player,
team.
though.
Different types of players,
different
but
kind of player.
I
Garnett
wonder
and
if
Giannis.
they would have worked out that type of dynamic between Giannis and Tatum had he been here. Like, whose team is it? Oh, it's Tatum's team. Don't you worry, he was here first, and he's the guy. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
But we know what's going on.
Plus, we have some Brown audio, I would imagine, of him live streaming the day away yesterday.
Yeah, let's do that.
We can do that as well. All right, and we'll take some calls, 617-779-0985. We'll be right back.
headed into the first round of the draft tonight. They hold the 27th overall selection. The Dallas Mavericks yesterday hired Dusty May as their new head coach. He just won a national championship at Michigan a couple of months ago. As expected, the Bruins' Patrice Bergeron was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday. He goes in along with goaltenders Carey Price and Pekka Rinne and Keith Tkachuk. In soccer news, 4 more World Cup games yesterday. All of the stars stepped up too. Lionel Messi scored twice in a 2-0 Argentina win over Austria. Kylian Mbappe scored twice to lead France to a 3-0 win over Iraq. And Erling Haaland scored 2 goals to lead Norway to a 3-2 win over Senegal. The late game had Algeria beating Jordan 2-1. England plays Ghana in Foxborough at 4 p.m. this afternoon. And a rare meltdown from Aroldis Chapman last night. He allowed 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and Colorado rallied to beat the Red Sox 3-2 in Denver. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by East Coast Metal Roofing. Right now, during their Beat the Summer promotion, Sports Hub listeners get 10% off the cost of a new roof. Offer ends July 6th. Call East Coast Metal Roofing and never replace your roof again. 844-611-ECMR or eastcoastmetalroofing.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Diving effort. He's got a breakaway. Throws it in front. Coming to the spot.
The Sports Hub.
Oh boy, I guess it's time for more Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube if you're just getting up and you haven't heard this. Giannis, as John has just said, has been traded to Miami along with Bobby Portis for Tyler Hero, 3 young players. The number 13 pick in tonight's draft, which is the second of Milwaukee's 2 first-round picks. And first-round picks in 2031 and 2033. A pick swap in 2030 and a second-round pick in 2033. Not mind-blowing by any stretch of the imagination, especially when you could get an all-NBA type player, and you chose not to. But Jaylen Brown Hardy was active as always, getting his message across unfiltered, without the constraints of traditional media, who always has an agenda. He's able to get on his live stream and pontificate freely, much to his benefit. It's why need those guardrails of traditional media that could, with a professional broadcaster that could help you along.
No, I'd rather put myself out there and really, really dip my toes into the waters of getting myself in trouble over nothing. And really, no one's forced me to do this. I'm not compelled to do this. I would argue it's better for me to remain silent at this point, but instead I'm going to speak.
It's like if someone, when you had never done a radio show, gave you this huge stick and just said, go. And you're like, what are the rules? And they're like, oh, there's no rules.
No.
Only trouble.
So
you'll know when you do it.
You'll have an idea of what to do
Roth.
from listening to the radio and watching TV. Only on this, you can do whatever you want. There are no restrictions, so just go.
Right, but I can't get in trouble. Oh, no, you can.
Oh, no.
What will get me in trouble? Oh, that you won't know until you do it.
Yeah. It'll seem innocuous at the time, but you can ruin yourself financially, personally, professionally. There's a lot of ways this can go wrong. Now, did Jaylen do any of this yesterday? No, but he had to speak on Twitch.
Somewhat grateful because I get to see some negativity that I didn't want, but that just gives more fuel to the fire. I get to see some, comments or takes that I didn't even care to see, but it just gives me more fuel to the fire. So all the people that's doubting me, that want me to do this or want me gone or whatever, you're turning me into a monster.
Turning him into a monster due to the negativity. Now, the negativity isn't so much coming from the fans. We had one caller earlier this morning who was still dead set on having Jaylen Brown out of here. But it seems like the negativity is coming from the team who has now tried to trade you again. Once again, they just have decided they're better off without you.
Can we do this for a second? you're famous and you're talking and you're giving opinions. Yes, there's going to be negativity, Jalen.
Oh, you're talking to Jalen.
And by the way, you're making quite a bit more money than we are. And I have to tell you that, comb through our social media or various message boards throughout our careers.
Yeah.
I can speak from my personal experience. There's been some negativity.
Oh, you can be 100% not famous, go online, make a comment, and you're going to get all kinds of negativity.
It's just funny to me, like, what anyone expects. Okay, so you're super famous, so you have an audience. You're going and you're going to opine on matters. As innocuous as they could be, people are going to disagree with you, and they're going to act irrationally.
Yes.
Like, what do you want people to do? What do you expect from humankind? Are you not on social media? Are you not seeing how people respond to opinion? Are you not seeing discourse in this country right now? I mean, Jesus Christ, this victimhood. I mean, my God.
Maybe he's talking about the unsolicited negativity. People just speaking ill of him when he hasn't put himself out there yet.
It's a graveyard, the internet.
It sucks, the graveyard. That's not all Jaylen Brown said yesterday, though. He said other things on his Twitch.
How many points will I average with the Shanghai Sharks? Listen, y'all cut the check. Shanghai, I'm out of here. You write a check for $100 million? Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Hangzhou, Wing Chun. I'll play for all the teams at the same time. I'll be the first player to play for every team at the same time. You'll be seeing on Twitter. Get ready to learn Mandarin, buddy. We out here learning Mandarin for real. Beautiful language.
It's admirable that he's traveling the world.
Yeah, did you hear that
learning.
banger playing in the background, though?
How many points will I average with the Shanghai Sharks? Listen, y'all cut the check. Shanghai, I'm out of here.
That's
you
what
write a check for $100 million?
That's what I have, friends who are like, let's go to China, let's go to Japan. It's just the culture shock. I think that, just when I'm eating, that music playing in the background would be a huge culture shock.
Just last night, Marcy started talking about where we want to go for our 25th wedding anniversary. I'm like, not so fast. That's like 2 years away. Let's see.
These are like before the first round picks that Miami, the Bucks get.
Number one, let's see what happens. And number two, she said, what about Tokyo? I said, it's like all seafood.
Well, I had a friend who had to go to Tokyo for 3 months for work, and he said that drinking became a bit of an issue because they have the nerve not to speak any English or have anything written in English anywhere.
Right. And they don't
you feel a bit removed.
Yeah, and they don't feel the need to cater to Americans. No, we're going to speak Japanese because we live in Japan.
Apparently, China, they speak more English than they do in Japan.
Oh, there's no way I'm going to China. Not doing that.
All right. Well, Jaylen Brown seems to be thriving.
Well, yeah, he's got a different experience traveling to China than I'm sure I would. Maybe I'll go to China. I don't know. I'll go to China. I can go to China too. I can do that. All right. So there's Jaylen Brown on his Twitch saying that he's going to be turned into a monster and he'll play for China. What about Bill Simmons? Now, is Simmons, I know he's an NBA guy. Is he a Celtics fan?
Yeah,
also?
Huge. Mammoth.
Oh, is he?
Mammoth.
Okay.
His dad used to take him to the game.
Mammoth.
Okay. Well, it doesn't come across in any of his commentary or 10,000-word essays on a regular season game
think you're
he
selling
attended
him short.
in 1986. More than 10,000?
I think it's more like 20,000.
He wrote a 15-pound book.
Yeah, 10,000's a warm-up.
All right. What does Bill Simmons have on this?
I thought there were better Jalen trades. Like, if to me, the pivot would be looking at New Orleans if they're going to trade Jalen and trying to get Murphy and Herb Jones, or Murphy, Jordan Poole's expiring and picks from the Pelicans, whatever version of that, or the Hawks are. I just feel like there's better trades than this for Giannis. I don't know how Giannis and Tatum would have played together. And you're talking about Giannis has health risks. Tatum's coming off a torn Achilles. Like, I don't think this trade was a slam dunk for them. And I've said this the whole time.
Okay. Now, Simmons is the ultimate homer, but this is something that does get lost, and it's been lost. Giannis, top 3 player in the league, top 5 player, whatever he is. You don't know automatically that him and Tatum was going to be better than him and Brown. He is a better player than Brown, but you don't know that combination would have yielded better results.
You don't know about Giannis's health. I mean, it's coming off.
Forget about health. Health is the one thing that you can just we're
taking that off the table.
We'll
All
assume
right.
health for everybody.
Okay.
But do you know to a certainty that Tatum and Giannis would have made a better pairing that would have gone deeper into the postseason than he and
Depends
Brown
on who
have
you
over the
match
last
up with,
2
but
years?
you don't know the chemistry, which is what you're driving.
Well,
at.
I mean,
Okay.
but you have in any trade, you don't know. So you're taking the hypothetical from your expert opinion, if you're Brad Stevens, that indeed they would.
Well, I mean, in some trades, is Milwaukee going to be better or worse next year?
Right, but you're superstar for superstar, you don't really know. I mean, you're getting a better player in return, so certainly something could happen. I mean, some guy could join a cult or and alienate another guy. I don't know. Tatum could go move to India. I don't know what would happen, but it's pretty good theory that the two of them would have been better together, and that the team would have played different. More maybe the way Brad Stevens wants them to play, not as many threes, a guy to attack the basket, the guy who's maybe best at attacking the basket in the NBA.
There's nobody better than
they
him.
could have I think they could have served both, ends there. They could have played maybe the way Brad Stevens wants them to play, but Jason Tatum and everyone else would have been free to take all the threes they want because now you got Giannis there in your front court to do all the other stuff that you weren't able to do before.
Yeah, but if he's
you would have been
taking
able to do both.
15 shots a game, 18 shots a game, you're going to, that's going to even things out. But anyway, the theory that we had heard from people that cover the NBA was Stevens has a belief that if you're going to carry two max contracts, they both have to be top 10 players, or if you got to have one top 10 player and surround them with a deep cast. And you can't, with the new salary structures in aprons, you cannot serve both. You can't do what the Celtics did when they won the title and have two superstars in a massively deep roster full of secondary stars. That's just impossible to do financially now. So you would have to, they're looking at the future and saying Brown can't be a part of this. Tatum's better than him. We're going to stick with Tatum. And we're not going to sign him to an extension, Brown. So there's an opportunity here to get a Hall of Fame talent still in his prime. This may never happen again. So as much as Bill Simmons might really enjoy the idea of pivoting to the Pelicans, because that would be just as exciting as anything else. And we don't watch sports for entertainment. And they can get Murphy in the gang and some picks in the future to go really pad things out. I mean, that would have been exciting.
On its surface, no, I was not excited about a Pelicans deal, but hearing Simmons break it down, I'm like, you know what? There's something there.
It might be the best thing.
There was one guy I've heard of.
It might be the best. It might be the best deal from a basketball perspective. It's hard to argue that if Brad Stevens wanted to do it and it was this fun, and it would have made them conceivably, I mean, it doesn't matter, but the odds for them winning the championship would have been through the roof. I mean, compared to where they are, I mean, the odds from Miami, I think they went up from 30-1 to the fifth highest.
Yeah.
They're the fifth favorite, and that's ridiculous. They're not winning a title. The Celtics really win a title. I mean, Celtics, best team in the East with the two of them. You have to figure, at least, I don't know. It's like a video game. It would have been a lot of fun.
I'm literally
really
looking, since you brought it up, I'm looking at the odds here. I mean, apparently, Bet Online, odds for Miami went from 40-1 to 14-1.
Right.
And the Celtics went from 6-1 to 13-2, which is essentially the same.
Right.
So
it doesn't matter, and it's the public reacting to a big trade, and I understand all of that. But I mean, just it does gauge public interest and public belief. And if we were sitting here this morning and the Celtics would have gotten Giannis, I mean, you were taking phone calls, you're winning a title, where it's very exciting. The season is full of juice. It's one of the most exciting seasons. It's probably since the Garnett trade. I mean, this is the Garnett trade again.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was electric.
Yep.
And you pop for a year or two, and then it's over. But you pop for that year or two. That's pretty fun. And then maybe you can find another Jimmy Haslam to take them off your hands and give you a bunch of picks, and you can recoup and you can do what you did the last time and never have 2 down years or something before you rebuild. But I mean, it would have been a lot of fun. I was really disappointed this morning. I rarely anymore get disappointed by Boston sports news or care exceptionally deeply about something at a visceral, personal level, and I was extraordinarily disappointed by this. And it's not that I even dislike Brown at all. I don't. And I agree with Hardy that calls that anything he said off court publicly would have any way influenced this, I think, is foolish. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't done himself any good, but he hasn't done anything terrible.
He hasn't burned a bridge. He hasn't really run afoul of ownership or management.
Well,
or
if
anything.
he has, it wasn't anything he said publicly. If he's pissed off the Celtics,
Correct.
it's something that
Correct.
I don't know about, in my opinion.
Or it could be as simple as Brad Stevens saw a better player that he could get for the player he had.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that it just would have been it would have been a lot of fun. And what I'm making the point is that it's not anything against Brown. I just thought it would have been a lot of fun. It would have been a Celtic season with incredible juice.
I don't just to go back over this. I'm stumbling over my words here. I think Jaylen Brown is going to be on his team in the fall. I don't see a deal out there. All due respect to Bill Simmons, Trey Murphy's a nice player, but I don't see a trade to New Orleans anything.
You don't see the chessboard the way Simmons sees it.
Clearly, he's thinking 3D, obviously, but I'm not.
I just don't think the Celtics. They have to, at some point, whether it's the new owner or it's Stevens or somebody has to step in and say, look, this didn't happen here. We can't trade Jaylen Brown for a Milwaukee-like return and get a bunch of dudes and a bunch of picks that if we hold on to them, we get players for 7 years from now. That's not going to fly with the fan base. That has to be at least part of the consideration. May not be a huge part of it, but people would lose their minds.
The Pelicans, it doesn't look like they have a first-round pick this year.
I haven't looked.
Well, I just know, unless I've misinterpreted their logo.
Yeah,
Oh no, they don't. They gave it to the Hawks.
Okay,
so the Hawks had the 8th overall pick. So it would have been fun. You could have gotten the 8th pick and gotten one of the 3 guards.
Fun? Try and draw, just doodle the Pelicans logo from memory.
It's not on here.
No bet.
You could do it with every other team.
Nope.
Right? I would just draw Vlasic every time. I wouldn't be able to do it. I draw my father, WB Donors campaign, the Vlasic pickle, the goose or pelican or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, they don't have a first-round pick this year, so I don't know. Again, I just want to reiterate this because I discovered it on the fly. Milwaukee still has a number one first-round pick. It's 10. They gave up the 13th pick, which I just find interesting that Jaylen Brown was part of a deal and Miami wasn't compelled to give them 3 spots higher. If you want to talk about something you would have just thrown in to get it done, I'm sorry. It just really seems Milwaukee was not interested in Jaylen Brown. And there's probably a lot of reasons for it. And it makes sense, the deal that they made. But by no stretch is this deal with Miami a coup for Milwaukee. They got assets far into the future, an expiring deal with Hero that they'll probably flip.
A bunch of young players, none of which is a star.
I mean, you don't get a lottery pick for Hero, do you?
Probably not. I'd say it's borderline, but probably not.
Fine. So you would get a late lottery pick for Hero.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
So it's not like that's an electric.
No, Here's a 20-point-a-game scorer, borderline all-star that doesn't play any defense.
So say
very good shooter.
Just throw anything out there. Say you get the 13th and 17th picks. Now you have the 13th and 17th picks in this year's draft.
Hero's real value is he's an expiring contract.
No,
as
that's
we
what I'm
sit
saying.
here right here.
So
and
you're
now.
not flipping him for anything. I don't think you're flipping him for anything electric. Again, if you would have gotten Brown, even if you didn't want him, in theory, you could have turned around and you could have maybe traded him to Atlanta. I'm just throwing things out there. There are teams that are picking in the top 15 that are pretty good that could use a star player. I'm not a GM. I'm just saying Brown has a perceived value that they just did not seem interested in at all.
So something we've all been saying all morning, Milwaukee already has number 10 tonight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Is that they didn't trade 10, that they traded 13 instead of 10.
No, Miami traded 13.
Yeah, I think
to Milwaukee.
You mixed it. You
my
mixed up
bad,
your.
my bad.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry. They
I
have the
understood.
10th pick in
So
advance.
Milwaukee has 10
10
and
13.
Yeah,
Yes.
Milwaukee has 10 and 13. Right. Like
Yes.
that's it. Just is strange to me. That's all. So anyway,
You can see, but as you were saying, you can see why Milwaukee did what they did with the Miami deal because it gives them two late lottery picks. You have first rounders in the future. Maybe one of these young kids pops, and away you go. You can kind of sell that to your fan base,
right?
Yeah,
But you really could have sold Jaylen Brown to your fan base.
You've also had a year to get to
Yeah.
have your fans come
to grips with this.
Yeah, grips with the fact that Giannis is leaving. We're not going to pay him.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
you
he
have
doesn't want to be here.
So you have the 10th pick in the draft. Now you have the 10th and 13th pick in the draft.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. Good. I mean, you'll get two. Maybe you'll get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Maybe you'll hit on one of these late lottery picks. Chances are you'll get Fab Melo.
Oh.
That's all I know. All right, we'll take some calls. We'll be back in just a moment. the Arista guy, the guy who's
Clive
Davis.
You know, I've told the story many times about how I walked into Clive Davis's Grammy party, which is one of the most famous parties in the world. And we were broadcasting from the Grammys, just my guy I was working with and two girls, and just drunkenly walking around Hollywood, and somehow lucked into going to the Beverly Hills Hotel with some word in street clothes, and Stevie Wonder was playing piano, and like In Sync were there. That's all I really remember. And we searched for a bar and felt so conspicuous that we left. If I could do anything again, I would have stayed. But we ultimately would have been kicked out. But I didn't even know it until after. Oh, because I went to the bar at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and like Jerome Bettis and like some other CD list celebrities were sitting there, and they weren't allowed in the party, and we had just been in the party, but I was too chicken to go to the bar. They didn't have like a bar. They had like elegant wet bars with like one bartender. People were in tuxedos. I was wearing like a t-shirt and shorts. Oh. Yeah, it was a whole scene.
But still, that's when you hang around until you get kicked out.
I wonder if they would have thought I was just super famous because I was so underdressed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That's a thing when you're younger, that you can pull that off.
Tell everyone you're George Lucas.
That's right. Remember there was a guy walking around 99X one time. I thought he was homeless. He smelled. He had a big gray beard. He was like slouching around. And like, I literally thought, no, I was an older guy. This was 25 years ago. And I'm like, who's this guy? And they're like, oh, he's like the president of blah, blah, blah records. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
He gets a license just to walk around like a bum and smell.
Yeah.
Dan, go ahead.
Hey, guys. First time, long time. Question for you, Fred. Now that Tyler Hero is leaving Miami for Wisconsin, does the accent return?
That's a good point. Tyler Harrow talks like he's grew up in the Queensboro projects and
from suburban Milwaukee.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's true.
And Milwaukee is not that kind of city. Very divided. If you've ever been to Milwaukee, I think anyone would tell you that.
All the clothing he used to wear.
Yes, it would be.
Man.
Tyler Hero really put on a show. He's someone whose affectations were solely based on culture he was not immediately experiencing.
It bothers me so
Speaks
much.
for itself. I mean, look at it.
Yeah, I want to talk to everyone he went to high school with.
It bothers me so much that guy can play because I remember we went to Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Heat, and he didn't play that night. He was hurt. I think he came back for Games 6 and/or 7 or something, but he's on the bench wearing like the full-blown Louis Vuitton pajamas.
Right.
You know, like the matching Garanimals set. And I'm like, look at this effing child, this idiot, like cosplaying. I don't even know what. Malibu's Most Wanted, something.
That's the first thing I thought of. Jimmy Kennedy.
Yeah, whatever he's doing. And the way he talks, the way he dresses, like, oh, just stop it. And then to see him actually be able to play, that sucks. Because he can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's good.
He is good.
He's good.
Well, if you
I
ask
hate that
Milwaukee,
he's good.
At Milwaukee, Milwaukee wanted him.
They traded Giannis for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's the linchpin in this deal. I mean,
he's the Jaylen Brown.
He's the Jaylen Brown in this deal. And again, if you stack up what Miami got, which I can do for you again in case you're just
Milwaukee
joining us.
got.
I'm sorry. I'm getting all. We've talked about it for 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
You'll have to excuse me.
Yep.
I'm all stuck on the 10th pick. I'm going all over the place here. But Giannis and Portis go to the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks receive Hero, basically, let's just say 3 young players.
Okay.
The 13th pick in the 2026 draft, which is tonight. First round picks in 2031 and 2033. A pick swap in 2030 and a second round pick in 2033. So they do not receive these picks for 4 full drafts and then 5 and 7 drafts from now.
Honestly, and you may wonder why so far out. And this is the right move to make. Giannis is going to be 35, 36 when those first-round picks come due. They're going to be better first-round picks then than they will be in the near future.
Yes, but also the Celtics offered Brown and 2 first-round picks, and Milwaukee said no, according to sources that are reporting on this. No, you got to add young players, to which Boston would have said, well, you want the same deal that Miami's giving you, but Brown instead of Hero. That's it. If they wanted Hugo Gonzalez and they wanted Shireman, Brown in 3 first-round picks, that's what Miami gave up, minus Tyler Hero. Now, I understand that maybe the 3 young players, certainly one of them is better than Gonzalez or Shireman. But,
Yes.
I mean, you're really diminishing the value of Brown in this trade. It's pretty amazing that Brown held basically a similar value to Tyler Hero. And I understand Tyler Hero's contract's expiring, but again, Brown was an MVP candidate, and it just didn't mean anything. Maybe another team will see that and go, well, he means more to us, and try to maneuver it to get Brown. And maybe it's a good draft. Maybe you get a top 10 pick in the draft. You can get yourself a very good guard that doesn't cost you a ton of money.
Yep.
And then maybe you can maneuver more in free agency or something, or make other trades and improve yourself. But holy moly. It's very surprising to me when I saw this deal. Not that Milwaukee took it. I understand why they did that, and I understand that Brown doesn't serve their immediate needs. It's just that as a trade chip, if you think of what Milwaukee countered with Boston and what they wanted, they basically wanted the Miami deal, but with Brown in it, which is crazy if you think about it. And if I'm not surprised that the Celtics balked and that they went, what the hell are you talking about? What could they possibly be offering you? You want the same package with an MVP candidate. Flip him. You do the work. Why should I have to do it?
Or if you believe Kevin O'Connor in his reporting, which I think you mentioned earlier,
Yep.
John, they wanted Brown and they wanted all the picks and they wanted to be able to rebuild, but what they really don't want is another Giannis type situation a year
Which
from
they
now.
perceive that Jaylen Brown would be a year or two from now.
A year from now, and it's like now we're stuck again.
Haslam didn't want to deal with that headache.
No, I get it, but that's a distressed asset if you're the Celtics, because you got a guy now that teams. How many teams in the league now won't deal for him?
But I think a lot of other teams would be willing to say, you know what, we're going to get this great player in here, and we're not going to be stopped by the fact that we're afraid of conversations and negotiations that we're going to have to do a year from now.
I would hope so, but Milwaukee didn't. So that just leads me to believe, like, why would Memphis? I'm just throwing small markets out there.
But they're a bunch of millies, and that's where the term comes from Milwaukee. You millie.
What if they threw in the Fonzie statue?
Ooh.
Which has gotten very old. I want to live to see another championship. I won't be around in 2033, Mundo.
2033 a Mundo?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be dead a Mundo. Shortcake, take my hand. I can't feel my right arm. I smell burnt toast. Hey. Jenny Piccolo's got a kidney I need. Go convince her. Benny, go ahead.
Coming up Tuesday at 8.
Good morning, guys.
Hello.
Hey, so I have a theory. I genuinely think that the Bucks weren't even interested at all in Brown, but they just needed an offer so they can squeeze a bunch of assets out of the Heat. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I
Sure. Of course.
It's as valid a theory as anyone else.
But again, it all points back to that they didn't want Brown.
Or they didn't want any player. Like, they're not interested in getting any kind of a good player right now because they've got such a long-term look at this.
But they apparently they wanted a player like Paulo Banchero, or they wanted Evan Mobley. Like, they wanted a younger star. But the kid from Orlando has been a bit of a disappointment. I mean, how old is he? 24?
He's been hurt. Yeah, he's 24, 25. He's been hurt. Now,
So
when he's healthy,
there's not a huge
very good
age
player.
gap. I understand,
Yeah.
but all I'm saying is that they were willing to work for younger guys that weren't as good.
But there's something to be said. There were the Evan Mobley rumors early, and Mobley is an all-star defensive player of the year. He's good. Cleveland wouldn't do it. That's the difference. Cleveland wouldn't do that deal.
Again, though, John, it's just in all of this, you've said nothing false. It all just points to they didn't want Brown. Like, for whatever reason, age, it wasn't the right time. They wanted other players, and teams balked. They didn't want Brown. They wanted Tyler Hero. They didn't want Brown. Brown wasn't of the value to them.
And Haslam stepping in and pushing them towards Miami speaks to, okay, this is a very long-term thing. Brown's not going to be happy if we're not competing for anything. Let's not bring him in. And you're right. For whatever reason, the attitude, he wasn't good enough, whatever the case may be in their eyes. It's true. Ultimately, we got to the finish line, and ownership said, take the Miami deal, even though the Celtics are offering the better player.
Which is shocking if you go by the reports from yesterday, which were everyone said, Boston has the better deal. Boston has the better deal. Brown and 2 first-round picks, because it was Brown and a first-round pick, and they were saying that's a better deal.
And it's down to 2 teams, and Boston has the edge.
And Boston has something that Miami cannot offer, which is Jaylen Brown, and Miami can't do anything about it, and it's too much. And if the Celtics are willing to trade Brown, that deal will get done. That was the reporting. That was what everyone was saying. Now, they're all going to say they weren't, but they were. And I don't think they went, well, I didn't know they were going to throw in a pick swap in 2030. Like, that was what really put it over the finish line. And they can, sit around and masturbate to the 3 kids that they got, the 3 young players that they got. Like, they can sit around and, it was a bad turn of phrase. They can sit around and, and opine about how wonderful the young players that they had are.
Better.
But I got to tell you, I don't buy it. Everyone thought that they would want Jaylen Brown.
One quick thing.
Yes, but only because there's only 2 reasons. They don't want Jaylen Brown, period, or it's a combination of the rebuild and the afraid of being in the same place a year from now, which I don't even think would be that much of a thing. Jaylen Brown said this was his favorite season where they didn't even make it out of the first round just because it was. And I'm putting words in his mouth now, but it was his team, and he was able to bring younger players along. I would think you'd be able to convince him, like, hey, you can do that in Miami for a few years. You're going to be the guy here, and you're going to be able to make players better around you for quite a while.
One quick thing before we go to break, and I just thought of this. Remember the Lakers deal for Doncic and how little they got compared to this? Think about all the stuff that Milwaukee just got, and I think the Lakers got Anthony Davis, a bit player, and a first-round draft pick for Doncic. I mean, how much worse does that trade look in hindsight, considering what Giannis just went for, even though it wasn't for Jaylen Brown?
The Mavs.
Yes, sorry, the Mavs. I'm doing the Fred thing. The Mavs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, why is it my thing now that every time you make a mistake?
No, I got to correct John, though. That happens once a year.
Yeah, especially on the B-ball. All right, we can take some calls. We'll be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics finished as the...
right, it's 8:52. We've been talking about it solid for 3 hours. By now you know that Jaylen Brown is not traded and that Giannis has been traded for guys, Tyler Hero, and the 13th pick in this year's draft and way distant picks, 30, 31, and 33. The pick swaps in 30-30, a second-round pick in 33. I have to tell you that we have been talking this for a long time, so if we get turned around at all or lost in our thoughts, have a little bit of sympathy. It's unprecedented that something breaks overnight. Like this. Like when Belichick retired during the show or got fired during the show, you knew he was going to get fired, right? So there was like a little bit of like, what the hell do you even say? You knew you've been talking about it for 3 weeks. This is interesting because of what Miami gave up, what the Celtics offered. Now the Celtics have Brown and they're just sitting there. I really thought when we left the show yesterday that it was almost a done deal, the way it was being reported. Because it was being reported that no matter what Miami did, they couldn't put together a package equal to the Celtics because the Celtics were willing to deal Brown. And it turns out they could, and it's not earth-shattering either. Now, could it make sense? Yes. But it's not what people thought.
Let me give you a little something on the bright side, though, Fred, because I know you're disappointed. I know for you it's all about the amount of fun you're going to have watching basketball like a 4-year-old. You just needed Giannis out there to get you interested in watching the game. This disappointing initially will actually have more legs for the next couple of weeks than had they just made the deal for Giannis yesterday.
I know, and a lot of it was for the show, and that still exists, but I was actually like I know, for instance, like my son would want to certainly go to the Celtics game. He don't want to go now, but he did. But like, it's just like one of those things. It would have been really fun for 2 years, and then it probably would have been a disaster. But for 2 years, you would have had big-time championship hopes with a good guy, one of the, really an all-time great, a first ballot Hall of Famer. It would have been very exciting.
You got a fair amount of Zolak in you. You just need one big star out there, either on the field, like you wanted Trout here for the Red Sox, or you wanted, you want Giannis on the court for the Celtics. You just need one player to look at and say, I know him, so I'm going to watch.
Absolutely.
That's you.
Absolutely. If the Red Sox, as much as it might not have made sense, got Trout, at least you get to look at Trout. It's something. Now, that's different than the Giannis deal. The Giannis deal is that they could win the championship with, it's like when you're making a video game team. You get Giannis and Brown. It's like if you're playing 82-0, you got Tatum and Giannis, a pretty good start. It would have been very exciting. The Trout thing for the Red Sox is you're garbage anyway. You might as well get a guy in here to look at. At least I can go see Trout play 8 times, which I would have.
The Celtics for two years and would have been, given health, would have been very fun to watch.
Well, let me tell you something. Let's say they end up trading Brown now, and they get a bunch of picks in 2044, for trading Jaylen Brown. And you roll out the same team that you had for the bulk of the regular season last year, but instead of Jaylen Brown leading it, you got Jason Tatum leading it. You better do just as well in this upcoming season with a Tatum-helmed squad that looks very similar to what you had last year than what Jaylen Brown did.
Tatum without Brown.
Yes.
Oh, man, yeah.
Or else this whole thing is going to look even more foolish. You dangling Brown out there for Giannis, not being able to get it done, having your hand forced to trade him anyway. Okay, so now we got Jason Tatum. What did you end up getting for Brown? Well, nothing. We wanted Giannis, but we still had to deal him, so we got a bunch of picks and a bunch of, secondary players that might turn into something. Okay, second seed in the East. That's the benchmark. That's what you better be at least that good.
Or winning a round in the playoffs would I mean, who cares where they finish in the standings? It doesn't seem to matter. I mean, the Knicks didn't need to finish second or first.
Yeah, but we got to talk about something for 82 games. So,
right.
We'll use that as benchmark number one.
Sure. But once they get into the playoffs, it would be nice if they didn't lose in 7 to an inferior opponent when they were up 3-1. But then again, it was all house money at the end. It was all house
That was
money
like-
to
that
the
was
point
like
where
a
they wanted
month-
to trade Brown.
It's like a month ago. Get over it.
It's just so wrong.
There's no getting over
It's
that.
just so
No,
wrong.
I
It was
think
such house money that they tried to trade Jaylen Brown. Well done, Grandy. It was such house money, and they were just having fun this year, and it didn't matter. Guys, think about it. They're going to be so good next year. And they tried to trade Brown. Not only did they try to trade him, a team said, no, we don't even want him.
Look around and find out.
Yeah. Incredible insight. Thank you in that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for that insight.
I love you. And I think you know that.
I don't think you do, but I'll tell you, it was insulting. There's towing the company line, and then there's just you're wrong. I mean, when the GM comes out the day later and goes, we stink, maybe rethink your analysis of the situation. It's okay that things didn't go well. To report a fact that just occurred immediately after it occurred. That was a rather disappointing loss in that Game 7.
Choo, 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 choo.
Yeah, I don't... like everyone, let's pull back and take this let's take a 30,000-foot perspective on this thing.
Yeah.
Let's go out and see what this really meant. No. This is bad. This is a team that was supposed to beat Philadelphia, and they didn't. And see, they didn't like that, so they tried to trade their second best player. And now the team that they tried to trade said, no. And now they're stuck, and they don't want to be in this place. They wanted Giannis. Now they don't have him. Ugh. Look, things happen, and, the Celtics tried their best, and they couldn't get it done, and whatever. It was a little insulting that they kept asking for more stuff when they went, huh?
We're giving to Jaylen Brown.
Right, and that didn't seem to matter to
and
them.
2 first-round picks.
Right, and they're giving you a bunch of stuff in the future in Tyler Hero, and I understand young players. But, again, we've been over it a million times. It's just... Brad Stevens doesn't like the way this team is built. You and I, John, the fans can all disagree. It's quite obvious that Brad Stevens doesn't think this team can win a championship as currently constructed.
Now that Brown is here and apparently not going anywhere tonight, I'd watch Derek White.
Well, we can ask Jeff Goodman
I'd watch Derek White.
if Brown's going anywhere tonight, because that might not be a fact. I mean, B-Rob said, look, if it's going to happen, it might happen today. It probably would happen today. Maybe Bill Simmons' thing with the Pelicans, who don't even have a first-round pick, could be very enticing for them. I don't know how, but maybe. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment.
Miami deal over concerns that Brown might want out after one season with his new team. Haslam wanted certainty with his new deal. The first round of the NBA draft takes place tonight. Celtics still have the 27th overall selection. Yesterday, Dallas hired Dusty May as their new head coach. He just won a national championship at Michigan. Former Bruins captain Patrice Bergeron was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday, along with Carey Price, Pekka Rinne, and Keith Kachuk, among others. At the World Cup, Argentina got 2 goals from Lionel Messi to beat Austria 2-0. France got 2 goals from Kylian Mbappe to beat Iraq 3-0. Norway got 2 goals from Erling Holland to beat Senegal 3-2. The late game had Algeria beating Jordan 2-1. England plays Ghana in Foxborough at 4 p.m. today. And Aroldis Chapman allowed 3 runs on the bottom of the 9th. Colorado beat the Red Sox 3-2 in Denver. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Vision. Boston Vision helped baseball legend David Ortiz get back to seeing 2020 again. They can do the same for you. See Big Like Poppy. Book your free evaluation at bostonvision.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston Tilt for Sports 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Actually coaching the game, or it's just that is. I feel so strongly about that. I can't even tell you.
Boston Talk Sports here.
What do we got?
The Sports Hub.
It's never changed. It's never changed. It's the same thing over and over and over and over. It's just never good. It wasn't funny the first time.
Toucher and Hardy, mornings on the Sports Hub.
What's next for Jaylen Brown and the Celtics? Yeah, I think there's a good chance Jaylen Brown is going to be traded somewhere, and I don't know if that's going to happen today or this week. But when the Celtics went down this path, they knew that they had made a decision to break up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Artie, you might be right. This might be the story that sticks and has some legs for longer than if they just got Giannis, even though I am very disappointed they didn't get Giannis. We're Toucher and Hardy. Watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub. If you're just hearing us, you want to hear 3 hours of nonstop Giannis talk, download the podcast. Jeff Goodman knew all these guys when they played AAU. He knows, has followed basketball at every level more than anyone we have on. He's co-founder of Field of 68. He analyzes the game of basketball for Stadium. Jeff Goodman, hello, sir.
Well, we can, I don't know if we can breathe easy, but, you know, at least the Giannis chapter is over. And I don't know. I'm torn on it, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm torn on it. Just the fact that I think Giannis would have made him better. How much better? I don't know. I don't want to say I'm like done with the Jalen Jason chapter, but I'm frustrated that, again, they just haven't made more progress. Even though we can use Jason's injury as an excuse, it looked like, again, they regressed playing together when Tatum came back last year.
So is the chapter over, or can the Celtics have the Celtics forced themselves into trading Jaylen Brown now, no matter what, or can these two try it again next season?
No, I think they could try it again. Brad's not going to get like desperate where he feels like he has to do something. That is not Brad Stevens. You said, you know, I've known these kids since they were 15. I've known Brad since he was an assistant at Butler. He's not going to panic and say, like, I have to do it. He's a businessman, too. He's smart. He's going to make sure he gets full value for Jaylen Brown, or else he's not going to trade him now. Now, he may trade him midway through the year.
Yeah.
But he's not going to do something today just because he feels like, oh, boy, it's out there that Jaylen Brown, you know, that we've tried to trade him and we can't bring him back because he's going to be a malcontent. Like, he's going to make sure he gets – and, again, the beauty with Jaylen Brown right now is, like, if you trade him, you are going to get peak value in a sense that, like, he just had the best season of his career. He just established himself as a guy that could be a potential – like a number one guy. To some franchises, a lot of them talking to him
Not
still
to
don't
Milwaukee.
feel like.
Okay, yeah, so let's get into that. Like, okay, so it's reported that the Celtics were offering Brown and 2 first-round picks and that Milwaukee was, like, more young players, which is kind of the offer that Miami gave, but Tyler Hero instead of Brown. Why did Milwaukee not value Brown that much?
conceivably, or am I wrong? And they did, and Miami just blew them out of the water.
Yeah, I just think it was two different directions that you're going, right? You're getting so many assets from Miami. Not great. I mean, obviously, Tyler Hero isn't Jaylen Brown. Tyler Hero is from Milwaukee. So Jimmy Haslam, the owner, does feel pretty good about the fact that Tyler Hero is not going to leave after a year. He's not going to demand to be traded after a year or two. But you've got all these other picks. Like Khalil Ware is a good player. I watch him play Oregon, Indiana. Like, good player, but not a centerpiece. Now, again, probably rather have him in the middle right now than Keita if I was Boston. But he's not a guy you're trading around. But with the picks as well, you're feeling like at this point, all right, we've got a good young core. We can build around them. And with these picks, if we can hit it on one of these picks, maybe we can be back in business fairly soon. It's not a complete rebuild. With Jaylen, I mean, let's face it, if they do the trade for Jaylen Brown, Milwaukee's kind of in the same position they're in right now, right? Like,
couldn't you
they're
flip
no
Brown, though? Like, just Brown as an asset, even if you don't intend to keep him, in totality would be worth as much as the Miami package, just in a different way. Like, if I know, Jeff, this is a lot of ifs, but you have to understand this is what we've been doing all morning.
Yeah.
Like
yesterday.
Right. Like, so, well, late yesterday. So if Milwaukee gets Brown and they go into the draft tonight and they dangle Brown, is there a possibility that Milwaukee gets like a top 10 pick for Brown and some other stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that's the case. And I'm sure they explored that.
Right.
I'm sure they talked to every team about that because obviously what Milwaukee would want is not what Boston would want for Jaylen Brown, right? Boston is competing now. Milwaukee, if they tried to flip Jaylen Brown, they're looking for not to get in the top 10. You're probably looking at can you trade Jaylen Brown and get in the top 4? Because that's the disparity is tonight. It's after probably 3, to be honest, because Caleb Wilson's going to go 4 to Chicago, and I don't think he's a number 1 guy. People try to compare him to Kevin Garnett. He's not KG. He can't shoot. There's 3 guys in this draft that I think most people feel like have a chance to be franchise player.
Okay. How many times has DeBonce's dad texted you today? He texted me once.
None today. I'm safe.
Upset.
He added a lot of other people to his Rolodex, I'm sure, over the last few weeks with the draft, and that's probably cut and paste and sending the same message to 100+ people.
Oh, I find that hard to believe.
No,
I find that very hard to believe.
We all love Ace because, listen, Ace has done a great job with AJ. He's put him out there, so now AJ's become a marketing dream where Darren Peterson is a marketing nightmare right now. Doesn't really want to do anything. It was a PR disaster last year at Kansas where, man, AJ goes on. He has that smile. Like, he will sell tickets.
Yeah, well, I don't think I saw it too. Didn't smile at all when he was here.
We've had him in like 3 times. He never smiled. We're local radio, and he doesn't care.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but generally he still turns it on. Generally, he knows his dad has told him, "Hey, turn it on," and then when you're done with the interview, then you can go back to looking on your phone.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was fine on the air. He just was aloof off air, and I'm getting him mixed up. His dad's very nice and certainly very active. And I just know from my own experiences, college coaches don't generally want to talk to the dad that much. But I guess when you're AJ DeBonza, they make an exception and they talk to the dad. I can tell you when you're not AJ DeBonza, they do not want to talk to the dad. But
they want to talk to the mom, or they don't want to talk to the parents at all?
No parents.
You know what?
They want a direct line to the kid. Yes.
Real quick on Ace. The difference with Ace and the other high-maintenance fathers, there are a lot of other high-maintenance fathers in this draft, actually, and they all thought they knew basketball. They all were trying to tell the coaches how to coach their kid. Ace didn't care about that.
Yeah.
Ace didn't. He wanted to make this, and he wanted to get attention. He wanted to make money, and he wanted attention.
I was more just making the point of how good AJ DeBonza is because coaches are willing.
Yeah.
Ace is a good guy, and I don't think doing anything wrong, but he's extraordinarily active. He texts Nick Gemelli, our assistant producer. I mean, he texts a lot of people. I was under no illusion that he was texting me personally. I understand that these are going out to maybe 1,000 people, but it just speaks of how good AJ is that, like, because, if you're even
probably like a starting caliber player, but not a star. I don't know how much coaches are going to want to deal with the father, but that's another thing. Go ahead.
No, I would just say since we're on the topic here of the draft tonight, there's been so many smoke signals one way or another. Washington Wizards apparently are not going to trade their first pick, which means they've decided on a guy. We've heard all three guys kind of thrown at that number one area. Who gets picked first tonight? Who goes second? Who goes third?
Yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard, and nothing's certain, but I've heard it's been AJ the whole way for the most part. And again, could there be a shock here? Yeah, I mean, if Washington's doing their job, which they have, they're leaking different names every week. And I said this a month ago. Like that's what you need to be doing, right? Because you want to have Danny and Austin Ainge confused here. You want to have them, if they've got a guy, if they really want AJ, well, they know they got to flip and move up. Or if somebody else loves AJ and thinks, or Darren Peterson, and they think they're going to take Peterson, they're going to make him an offer. I think they're going to stand pat here and draft number one. I don't think the package is going to be worth what Washington thinks that one of these guys can become. And if you're Washington, again, you're not getting big-time free agents. Right now, you roll the dice with Trae Young and AD. And I don't know how that's going to work, but AJ fits. AJ fits the need if you're going to keep Trae, which you are now, and Anthony Davis. AJ fits.
Okay. You mentioned how much of a nightmare Peterson has been. Every report we got was that Peterson worked out for Washington and refused to work out for anybody else. So if you're Danny Ainge sitting there, if you're Memphis at 3, what do you do here?
Yeah, and just to be clear, Peterson isn't the nightmare. It's his camp that is the nightmare.
Okay.
Darren's a good kid.
Okay.
He's a good kid. He's doing what he was told last year. Tap out the moment you feel anything, this, that, work out here, work out there. These kids aren't making that decision, let's face it. But there are a lot of questions with Peterson that I never had 2 years ago when I said he's the number one player, even above A.J. DeBonsa. That's where the Angels had to do their due diligence and try to figure out, get to the bottom of this thing. Because the kid was super competitive when I saw him in the AU circuit a couple of years ago. He showed things that he didn't display this past year. Playmaking for others, more burst vertically. He just, again, he looked like a shell of himself this past year. And having said that, he still had a hell of a year when he was on the court. He could score just like effortlessly. I think they take him. I don't think Danny and Austin pass on a guy like this in Utah. I don't think you can. Cam Boozer's a terrific player, but his ceiling is probably, to me, top 10-ish player in the NBA. Like
Kevin Love has been used as a kind of a comp to him. Do you think that's fair?
I think his dad is a good comp for him, to be honest.
Huh?
I think his dad is a pretty good comp for him, too.
Okay.
Kevin, he's not the passer Kevin Love was. He's not even the perimeter shooter that Kevin Love was. And I remember seeing Kevin when Kevin was young. Boozer just wins, man. He just wins. He does whatever it takes. He's gotten better. Kevin Love was kind of ready-made at 15 years old. Cam Boozer couldn't shoot beyond 12, 15 feet a couple years ago, and now he's extended that range to 3. It takes a while for him to get it off, but he gets better. He's so solid. You know what you're going to get. He's perfect for Memphis. High character. That's what Memphis needs. That's what they're starting to go with. So I think he ends up in Memphis.
Jeff, I want to go back to the Jaylen Brown thing. I asked you a few minutes ago if they can bring Tatum and Brown back after all this, and you said, of course, and that Stevens isn't going to make some knee-jerk trade just to get him out of here because it's too uncomfortable. From the team side, I agree with you. From Jaylen Brown's side, how pissed off do you think he is over? And again, it's been brought up a couple of times. Well, they tried to trade him once before and they worked it out. This is different this time. This is post-championship. This is post-finals MVP. This is right after the season where he helmed the team for the majority of the season to a really nice regular season record. How angry is Jaylen Brown at this point, and do you think he wants to return to the Celtics this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think at first it might, again, bother him. But I think with everything, right, a little bit of time, what's he going to do? Go out there and tank? Not play as hard? I just don't see that. And
demand a trade?
Winning solves everything, right? Winning solves everything. If they're playing well, he's playing well, they win, everything will be fine. And yes, Brad still could make a trade at the break at that point. It's not like he's here forever, but I think at this point he knows, hey, yeah, I deserve to be a number one. I played like it. Obviously, he made some comments, streaming last year that he probably would like to get back. But I think, again, Brad also, like, he has a way with people that I think he'll figure out a way. He's non-confrontational. I think he'd find a way to have a conversation with Jalen that, hey, listen, man, yeah, it was Giannis. Like, that's the other part. If you're Jaylen Brown, honestly, in a way, you should feel flattered.
But they didn't
you
do
were in
it.
A trade conversation with Giannis.
But that's
one of the top.
But
Right.
that's for Jalen to be pissed at Milwaukee, not at the Celtics.
No, I know, but it's like an ego death. Like they wanted to trade you. Fine, it's for Giannis, but Milwaukee didn't want it. Like from like even if that's unreasonable, you would figure that you have to have a bit of an ego if you want to be great.
Yeah, but it doesn't affect that aspect of it. Doesn't affect his relationship with Stevens and the Celtics.
Right. I just think it just makes everything.
He's also
bad.
been through this, guys. It's not like his name hasn't been out there in the past.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit more front and center this time, right? I get it. It was out there, and Brad never poo-pooed this one. That was the difference in this one, right? In the past, Brad has come out and said, we don't want to trade Jaylen Brown. This time, and again, he may be gone tomorrow. Like, he may be gone.
He might be
tonight.
gone today, according to
Yeah,
Windhorst.
he could be gone, draft night here. I just don't know what package. Like, I don't want the Celtics to thin out their roster. I don't want them to get, like, two guys that are pretty good for Jalen, and now you look at it and it's like, all right, you got Tatum and a bunch of okay players. I don't want that. I want – you got to get another frontline dude. If you're trading Jaylen Brown, you better get another top 15-ish, 20 player, which I thought Jalen was for the most part in his career. He had 1 year that, to me, and we'll see if he can follow it up, he had a great regular season, and he's gotten better. But I still don't consider him a top 5, 6, maybe even 10 player in the NBA.
I apologize if you already addressed this, Jeff, but would you have included Shireman and Gonzalez to get this deal done with Giannis?
I would have. Yeah. I think they're pieces. I think you can get guys like that in free agency. Now, I like both of their upsides, but I just think that's not – if you really want Giannis and you feel like he is the difference maker, you're not hesitating to include Baylor Shireman and Gonzalez.
But then you would have given up much more than what Miami ended up giving up.
Well, different. Like, I don't know about more. Just it's a totally different package, yes. But, like, again, Baylor Shireman, you might be able to get another Baylor Shireman with the 27th pick, tonight if you didn't trade it. Or again, from a free agent standpoint, you can get another guy of that caliber. Gonzalez, everybody talks about his upside. I saw Bill Simmons' his tweet, and like, dude, come on. Like, what are we doing?
A lot of people say that.
He's
dude, come on.
In retreat mode now.
Could you draw the Pelicans logo freehand right now, just from memory?
I could not, but I'd love to have Trey Murphy. That's one player I'd love to get. Now, again, not straight up for Jaylen Brown, but I think he'd be a guy I'd love to add to this team.
All right. Well, Jeff Goodman, an exciting day for you with the draft, and hopefully DeBon's dad sends you something just for good luck.
He'll ask me. The best one was when he asked me to. He sent me a picture of the merch store from AJ a couple years ago, and he asked, or a year ago, and he asked me if I would buy something from the merch store. And I said, AJ makes a lot more money already than me from going to BYU. Like, can he buy me maybe a shirt and send it to me for free?
Maybe just send me a shirt. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, he sent me a video of highlights of his kid today, and I'm like, I'm aware.
Wait a minute. This kid's pretty good.
Yeah. Like, this is right in line with everything else. Like, he could be the number 1 pick in the draft. This is something I'm aware of.
Yeah, I've seen his highlights.
All right. Jeff Goodman, Field of 68, also can read him on Stadium. Thanks, Jeff, as always, for the help.
Thanks, Jeff.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
See you,
John.
man.
I appreciate it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, I don't look at the stuff he sends anymore. I mean,
Was it a meme thing, or did he actually send you like 4 minutes of
I
highlights?
can show you like the.
Oh,
this is
yeah.
all very one-sided. I mean,
Yeah.
At one point, I did respond.
Yeah.
And I've erased it. The first one I still have is from July 10th. Oh, this is all from July 10th until now. Or no, this is July 10th of last year, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So not as much as I thought. All right. Anyway, just real quick, Windhorst has said what I expect to happen is a bidding war for Jaylen Brown. If there is a draft pick involved, it could happen today. That's what Windhorst says.
All right.
So slow the roll on anyone saying Brown's not getting traded.
Well, of course, there's going to be a draft pick involved.
Or tonight's. Yeah, and of course it would be
or
today.
For tonight's, yeah.
It has to be tonight. If they're going to offer a draft pick, it has to be
if
tonight.
tonight's draft pick is involved, it's going to be today.
Yeah, it would have to be. I would assume.
Yeah.
But it could happen during the draft because you see oftentimes in the draft a kid get drafted by a team and that team has already traded that pick in theory.
Right. Which will be the case at number 13 tonight because that deal they made last night can't be official until July 6th.
My point was only when's the last time there was an NBA trade that went down that didn't include some draft pick thrown in?
No, I understand. I'm trying to think it through. Like tonight would be interesting because even if the draft goes as planned, if there is a team like in the top 10 like Atlanta, just giving them as an example of a good team who has New Orleans picking, ironically, they're picking at 8 or whatever, and you just see them take someone, and you're like, blah, blah, blah. And then, a half an hour later, they're like, it's for Jaylen Brown and additional stuff. All right. I have an email that I want to address because I truly cannot defend myself because I don't know what I did. But I've annoyed someone who's a fan of the show, but I've annoyed someone.
Do tell.
Did I get this one too? I probably hearted it.
Yeah.
Put it in my save
Well,
folder.
they're firmly on your side. But
it.
I just don't know what I did. You'll have to explain to me.
Okay.
I want it serious, too.
Gladly.
I want you to explain to me seriously what I did. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
All right, let's do this. The email bit is powered by Jeffrey
Glassman,
injury lawyers. If you've been hurt in a car or work accident, you got to get Glassman. Don't just send an email. Call all sevens. 617-777-7777 or visit gottagetglassman.com. And that, my friends, is a correct read. Let's put that aside for tomorrow.
Thank you, Jeffrey Glassman.
Well done.
Let's not push
Jeffrey Glassman.
Yes. All right. Here's the email I was referring to.
All right, good.
This is a constant theme of the show today. Joey says, Fred's tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
I love Fred, but I have no idea how you guys put up with him when he's so defiantly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want Brown. That's obvious. You can't debate that. By that, now here's where I don't understand. Honestly, by that same logic, the Celtics did not want Giannis. Oh, wait, of course they did. That is why they dangled their finals MVP winner who dragged them to the 2 seed last year. The Bucks ultimately decided to take much larger package that diversified with both young players and more picks. Fred is great radio, but his tendency to have a take that he thinks is 100% right when it's not, or at least debatable, and yell at others who think different would drive me absolutely crazy to work with. He'll do it with something as stupid as like, oh, this movie was terrible. You're an idiot if you think otherwise. Oh, that city is a dump. But that is why John Wallach is so chastised and never fights back or stands up for himself, which is obviously why John's wife doesn't like Fred, as Fred does.
Yeah. I mean, this guy does have it figured out.
See, here's what I would debate is that, yeah, the Celtics wanted Giannis. They made an offer for him. That's inherently different. They made an overture, which Milwaukee decided not to accept. If I ask you on a date, implicitly, I want to go on a date with you. If you refuse, implicitly, you did not want me.
But there's more to it than that. Where are we going?
The mall.
No.
Shopping spree.
No.
Dave and
I can't tantalize with you with that. Natick Mall. You go to the maze.
The collection.
Now ask me if I want to go to Topgolf. Then I say yes. You've sweetened the deal.
So, like, okay, so this is like a linguistic debate. First of all, his thing with the Celtics wanting Giannis that's just wrong. I mean, am I wrong there? Like, if you ask someone for something, you want that. If they say no, that doesn't mean they wanted the thing inherently that you're asking.
It was your tone.
Fine.
First thing out of the gate this morning, you're like, they didn't want him. I don't know why you idiots can't understand that. It's so obvious they didn't want him. And I say, yes, they did want him. They had conversations about it. They just wanted more than just Jaylen Brown.
So it's a linguistics debate. It is that if you look at the package that the Celtics were offering and the package that the Heat were offering, they accepted a Heat package that pretty much just removes Brown from the equation. Like what they wanted the Celtics to throw in, as we've discussed ad nauseum today, and I'm very pleased to have done it because it gives us something to talk about in June. They wanted the Celtics to sweeten the deal so it was almost like the Miami offer with Jaylen Brown.
Well, I think this has as much to do with what Milwaukee is thinking about doing. And you were making it sound like, and maybe you didn't mean to make it sound like this, like there's something wrong with Jaylen Brown. They didn't want Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was the problem. I think Milwaukee, by virtue of doing this deal with Miami and not taking the Celtics deal that didn't include Shireman and Gonzalez and more picks, it speaks to more. They're not looking at this season or maybe even the next season. You could offer them up Doncic right now, and they'd be like, that's really not in our plans. We don't have anything to do with a player like that right now, the way we've decided to move forward past Giannis.
And then I would counter that they were interested in getting Evan Mobley, and the Cavs said no. And then I would also say, fine, you can. They'd obviously want Brown if they just were handed him. But the thing is that based on reporting yesterday, the reporting was all, there's nothing Miami can do if Brown's involved, right? That was reporting, correct? That if the Celtics offer Brown and picks, there's nothing Miami can do.
That's correct.
I believe that's verbatim what we were told.
That is correct.
And so they did, and Milwaukee said no, which, I mean, maybe it's
in King's English, the inappropriate, but for the needs of our show, Milwaukee didn't want Brown that much. So
it seems like, looking at it, there was an internal debate. Some people did, the owner didn't.
And you're a good guy, Joey. I appreciate that you like the show. If you can't understand why you would go, that movie sucks and anything you say is wrong, I'm doing a radio show. You understand, for the sake of entertainment.
Joey has gotten to a part of your personality, though, that I despise and John despises and everyone else takes great entertainment value in hearing you act this way.
Mm-hmm.
But they, too, would despise you when he gets at what he's talking about here. Think you're 100% right. I'm quoting Joey here.
Right.
And you'll yell at others who think differently.
I don't... it's ludicrous if someone goes, that movie sucks, you can't think otherwise. You do know, I realize that. When it's a piece of art or culture,
sure,
just by nature of that argument, I find entertaining. The audacity of saying this, like the Grateful Dead are the worst thing ever, there's no way you really like them, is a fun thing to say, because I know it will needle Grateful Dead fans. And it's so beyond me that you would like that pointless noodling that I truly don't believe that you like it, but I understand the audacity of the statement.
I'll let you know the next time you're doing it in a conversation where it's not just for entertainment purposes.
I like that.
I'll just say, Fred, you're doing it.
Okay,
You're doing it
because
again.
I know you got annoyed with me in the first break, and I get it, but I think you misunderstood what I was saying. And we got we had differing opinions on this. I wanted it to happen, and you didn't necessarily want it to happen. So you're going to have an argument about it. I don't take it personally. He was annoyed with me. He was annoyed because I wanted something to happen that he didn't necessarily want to have happen. And when I said they didn't want Brown, it's a move to move conversation around. And he didn't agree with that tone or that statement. But just because Hardy comes back at me doesn't necessarily mean something happened that was wrong. That's sort of what you want. I'm not looking to actively push him, but if he disagrees with me and gets annoyed with me, and I let him get annoyed with me, that's not the worst thing in the world.
But that was the thing. You didn't. You were like, well, now you're filibustering.
Well, I saw that you were getting annoyed, and I wanted to see if I could poke you a little bit to see if you could get a little more annoyed.
And you did. You got very annoyed, which I find entertaining.
Because with the sports debate, I could give or take it. I just thought that I saw that you were getting agitated, and I understood why. But I think we got through it. The phonetics and the linguistics of it, whatever. The bottom line is, any way you slice it, the Milwaukee did not value Brown as much as the Celtics thought Milwaukee would value Brown. That's safe to say. A sports radio way of putting it is they didn't want Brown. That elicits conversation. So there you go. That's my practice and my thoughts. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because at the very least, and here's me doing something that you have difficulty doing, coming over and supporting you a little bit in this. If Milwaukee has no interest in being better next season and having a player like Brown, well, then you should be able to move them and get even more stuff that you can build up your coffers with, whether it's picks or secondary players and all that stuff. But maybe they didn't see the value in that either.
We just have a guy that we're trying to move to get picks and stuff. Let's stick with the guy we already have to move to get picks and stuff.
It's just, I was very surprised at the Miami offer. I didn't think it was that great. And, these picks are way into the future. The analysis, I've heard Ramona Shelbourne, she likes to trade. But I've read analysis that I agree with, that this is pushing things so far into the future. And I understand these picks are of value. And they can be
based on when Giannis gets older. Yes.
Right. But, you're telling your fan base, guess what, guys? Like, there's no hope for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they use the James Harden trade and how long it takes teams, like when they get rid of superstars for future assets like this, it takes 5-6 years to get competitive again.
Truly, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, you come out and you say the Damian Lillard trade was so bad this is the only thing we can do to start to turn this oil tanker around because we lost so many first-round draft picks for a guy who barely played for us.
But what if you got Brown and you play him for half the season and he's electric and he's scoring 30 points a game and you're like, a couple games under 500 and you go, look at, and then at the trade deadline, some team opens up everything and gives you the world.
And this is where I go back to at some point, even in Milwaukee, even the owners who say, they're not doing anything for the fan, you have to consider your fan base. And you already got rid of Giannis because you couldn't figure out a way to convince him to stay in Milwaukee. And you bring in a guy who seems to be a suitable replacement, and then you turn around and deal him at the deadline halfway through his first season.
But the thing is that I'm selling to my fan base now. Like, by the way, 7 years from now, some of these picks are happening 7 years from now.
Yeah, and how are the fans going to take that?
No, that's what they're doing now. Yeah, I don't know. I just think if you had Brown and you were a savvy fan and they played him and got a lot from him at the deadline and you combine the two deals together and you said, look, that any kind of real fan base would go, oh.
Correct. How many, what percentage of the fan base would you call savvy fans that can see the 30,000-foot view?
In Beantown, 90%.
Yeah.
Some hick flyover state.
With a bunch of millies.
I don't know, man. We've just gone over this. I'm glad we have. I was very disappointed this morning and I will admit, personally disappointed. I was very excited for the possibility of Giannis playing here. Certainly for a couple of years, that would have been a lot of fun. But the drama does continue as we see what they do with Brown. And now, guess what, Celtics fans? You have every incentive to watch this draft because you don't even know if players are taken. You don't even know if that's a future Celtic. As of, July, whatever, right, John?
Yes. July 6th is when the big Giannis trade becomes official.
I expect rumors to be floating around all day today. We'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sport.
best friends it can be, my buddy and me.
Now, more of your best morning buddies, Toucher and Hardy, on the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
All right, we are Toucher and Hardy, and you have just heard a very rare show where there was one topic for the entire show, which was Giannis. So tomorrow's show will not decidedly be all about Giannis.
No, it's all about golf tomorrow.
Well, let's not
Nothing
scare,
but golf.
Let's not scare everyone away. There will be some golf as we are live at the Travelers Championship, beautiful TPC River Highlands, Cromwell, Connecticut, for the Pro-Am Day, and hopefully the pre-show before I go out and loop for anybody. Just want to caddy for somebody tomorrow. I want to get on the course as a jock, as a looper, and get out there and show them what I'm capable of. Right? I've yet to get my player assignment. I'm a little worried, a little frustrated.
Considering the Pro-Ams tomorrow, yeah, that would be bad.
It'd be nice to know who I'm looping for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got to advocate for Hardy tomorrow as we go through the show, because there will be luminaries from the Travelers Championship joining us.
I would expect tournament director Nathan Grube to be milling about along with Chief Administrative Officer Andy Bissett, who's the biggest of the big wigs walking around there, who's all for it. But, there are some, people around him, that have to actually set these things up. So we'll see.
It's carrying a bag. I would assume that, are you going to bring golf shoes?
If I cannot parlay 14 years of doing the Sports Hub Golf Club into a non-paying job as a caddy for literally anybody in a Pro-Am, then what am I doing?
Right.
What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to do.
Sure.
I just want to go out there. What, Zoe?
It just seems like something that they would just allow him to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't, he doesn't even really have to carry a bag. Just let him walk around.
It seems like something I could just show up and start doing, and nobody would be the wiser.
Right. Like if you knew the guy, you could just kind of walk next to him.
Yes, I could go out there. Oh, I brought my own caddy. Great. Here we are.
Are you bringing shoes, golf shoes?
No. You don't wear golf shoes when you caddy.
Oh.
You don't?
No.
Oh, I had no idea.
Are you wearing comfortable pumps?
No, I have a couple of different pair of shoes. I have my list of things I'll need. I have my special towel. I'm going to bring my rangefinder.
What's your special towel?
It's a caddy towel. Special
What's
caddy
that
towel.
look like?
Special rag.
What's that look
You
like?
know what? I'll bring it to the
We'll break if he
broadcast
drops
tomorrow.
it.
I'll bring it to the broadcast tomorrow.
It's all stiff.
I'm also going to have my GPS watch so I can give quick, immediate yardage.
Right.
My special sunglasses, little club brush. I'll have all that stuff.
And binoculars.
Well, the binoculars are from when we're sitting there and we can turn around and look at the practice range right behind us.
I don't mind being at the Travelers. It's a
No,
nice
they
environment.
treat us really well.
Yeah, it's a nice environment.
Get some food down there, man.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we're talking.
One ball out and play 2 balls in your pocket just in case you need to drop a ball.
Oh, yeah.
By the tree.
Does that work for
Hey,
you?
it's right here. Busted first hole. Unbelievable.
You got busted the first hole dropping a ball.
It was a hell of a shot I had in that second shot, though. Wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. You didn't need to
tee
cheat.
shot was
Your
horrendous.
your cheat shot was worse than your actual shot.
It was.
Yeah.
Worst lie. Yeah.
Is Zolak very far off the tee? Is he like
no.
a big power hitter?
No, but you know what he's got? Soft hands. Soft hands around the green.
Maybe lift it up.
A little bit of finesse.
Yeah, he
that
does.
shows your athleticism.
Yeah, right.
Hand-eye, baby. All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone enjoy. Hopefully something exciting happens today. We will be at the Travelers tomorrow. Bye.